Day-Day Reeves was unstoppable for the Rams. Down the stretch, he had 31, a career high in that one. Fordham's next challenge, possibly the biggest and baddest the A-10 has to offer, the St. Louis Billikens. Led by college basketball star Robbie Avila, the Billikens have had one of the hottest starts to a season in program history, securing a 15-1 record coming into this one Wednesday. Undefeated in 3 games in the A-10, including a road win against reigning champs VCU 71-62. With 92 AP votes, the Billikens fell just a place shy of the nation's top 25. The Billikens hype train keeps rolling. We'll see if Fordham can stop them in their tracks this evening. It's the hosting St. Louis Billikens versus the traveling Fordham Rams, and it's next from the Atlantic 10 in St. Louis, Missouri on WFUV Sports. Welcome in to St. Louis, Missouri, more specifically the Chaifetz Arena, the home of the A-10's first-place Billikens. The Fordham Rams coming off their biggest win of the season, now possibly meet their biggest test. I'm Chris Carrino with my partner Joe Henry. Joe, a confidence-building win for the Rams on the road last weekend against the Bonnies. They're going to need all the confidence they can find against an impressive St. Louis side.
Chris, glad to be here. You're right. It was a big and much-needed win for Fordham, not just to get in the win column in A-10 play as far as grappling in the standings, but a prove-it game for themselves for a team that was in it against the first 3 teams they played, all losses, games that they maybe could have or even should have won, to finally go out and do it, no less on the road in a place that's tough to play against a team that started the year 11-1. That was the kind of win that Fordham needed to know that it belongs in this conference. But this game, a whole different beast in St. Louis, one of the best teams, not just in the conference, but in the country, the clear front runner in the Atlantic 10. It's going to take everything from Fordham. By far, it would take its best performance of the year to pull out a win today.
One of the true mid-major darlings around the country so far this season. This St. Louis size is all the buzz of Twitter, all the different spaces that basketball nerds take up around the season. And this Fordham team has their work cut out for them. It's been a really interesting last couple of games for them. We've talked about it in A-10 play. Of course, their last one was a win against St. Bonaventure, but every single game they've played in the A-10 has been close, has been competitive, and this momentum has been building for a long time and could culminate here tonight.
Yeah, what's promising for Fordham is that one of the big questions earlier in the year was, is this team battle-tested? They have the easiest strength of schedule in the country through non-conference play, but I think you can say through 4 games of A-10 play, this Fordham team is battle-tested because every single team that they've played against has been an upper half team in the conference. So to compete with each of those teams, to win against one of them, shows that this team not only belongs in this conference, but also is starting to find its way through these late-game, close-game situations and starting to adapt better. Now, it's gonna take a lot first half for Fordham to withstand St. Louis's initial blow. This is a St. Louis team that, just to give you the rundown, they played 16 games. They have a 1-point loss to Stanford. They have a 1-point win to Santa Clara. And other than that, they've won not just one every single game. They've won every game they've played by 9 or more points. So an average scoring margin on the year of 25.4. Their average game is a 25-point blowout. That's what St. Louis does to teams. They don't beat them, they blow them out. Fordham hasn't been blown out all year, but it's going to take a lot to just stay in this game the same way they have all A-10 season.
Yeah, Joe, and since Coach Schertz and his star player Robbie Avila made the trip over from Indiana State to here, it's been an exciting atmosphere at this university, in this building. It's a full student section from top to bottom here in this arena. This St. Louis team has had an exciting vibe all season long. It seems they can be dangerous not only at the mid-major level, but even in tournament time in a couple months. This is going to be probably the greatest opportunity Fordham has all season long.
No doubt. This is the best team that Fordham's going to play all year unless they meet them again in the tournament. This St. Louis team was not ranked in the AP poll, but they were the top team receiving votes. So essentially they are the number 26 team in the nation, and certain metrics like them even more than that. And with the game still 10 minutes out, we have a packed section in the student section, the rest of the building filling in. It tells you a lot about what Josh Schertz has done in just 2 years here and in just 3 years at Indiana State. Not only to bring so many guys from the Sycamores over to the Billikens when he switched, that tells you a lot about a coach, how beloved he is, that he has 3 or 4 guys coming right with him. But also, it tells you that this is a city that is built, that is brought in around its program. You can't say that all the time for A-10 teams, but this St. Louis team in a heartbeat, from kind of struggling for a few years in the A10 after a win in the tournament in 2019, is fully revitalized. I mean, the city is rallying around this team, and it's becoming, as you've said, a national storyline.
The St. Louis team as deep as it gets at the mid-major level. 6 players averaging double figures. They went on a California trip, a long California trip around the Thanksgiving holiday. As you said, they had a loss against Stanford, a close game against Santa Clara. Their coach said that trip did a lot of bonding, a lot of togetherness came from that trip, and they're a whole different team after that going into conference play.
Yeah, it's no surprise. You said 6 players averaging double figures. There's not a single other team out of 365 that can say that in Division I. This is, by some metrics, the deepest team in the country. They've had 8 different guys lead them in scoring at different times this year. There's not another team, there's only one team that can say that they've had more guys lead them in scoring this year. So for a Fordham team, and we talked about it with Coach McPile, we'll go to that in a bit, for a Fordham team that has done really well to eliminate other teams' biggest threats, that's not really going to work in this game because St. Louis has so many threats. Anyone could beat you. Anyone that's going to play is not just an A10 talent, but a potential A10 star thriving in their role. That's what makes St. Louis so good.
It's a packed house here at the Chaifetz Arena. A lot of people around us. One of the most populated Fordham games all season long. We find ourselves on the very end, the very left end of the scores table, directly next to the Fordham bench. Coach McPile and his crew giving handshakes to the Fordham group coming off the floor after their warm-ups. As Joe hinted at, we got a chance to catch up with head coach of Fordham basketball, Coach Mike McPile, before the game. Take a listen now. Coach, heading into this one on a Wednesday night, coming off arguably the biggest win of your tenure so far, how much pride did you have for your group and for that win they got on Wednesday or on Saturday?
Yeah, on Saturday, it's more about the Saturday, Sunday text that I'm getting from the community and the donors and the administration, and obviously it's a national televised game on the road, name brand as far in our world, St. Bonaventure and Coach Schmidt, just really tough teams, and for us to find a way to do it on the road in Olean when they were, honoring, they had a big crowd, they were honoring their NIT championship team, handing a banner. Really cool for our guys to experience that, and so it'd been 3 games since we experienced that feeling, and it was great to get it done with our first A10 win.
You guys have been right in there, if not winning, in every game you played in conference play, but this is a St. Louis team that's winning its average game by 25 points. What are the keys in the first half to do as well as you have all conference play to be right in a game against another A10 contender?
Transition defense. It'll be everything. You might say we're a very, very good offensive rebounding team, and that could help us, but you're gonna be seeing the coaches waving, just get back. It is an early, middle, late thrust. It is physical, the way that they're coming at you, and then it's not just you get to sprint to the paint. They've got shooters everywhere as well, especially the ones that come off the bench. So it's transition defense. If we can get behind the ball and then make them run, which is a beautiful 5-out offense that they run, we'll have a chance. And then secondly, that second group that comes in, it's no threes. It's those guys that come off the bench, Sharma, Dunlap, those guys are coming in, and Thames is a really great player, the way that he attacks. They'll be hard to stop. We got a big challenge in front of us tonight.
And Coach, in your last one, your win against the Bonnies, you guys shot the 3 really efficiently. Yeah. How important is shooting the ball in trying to get a victory tonight?
Well, tempo is all over our keys, and the way that you control tempo. Number 1 is rebound, we had a rebound, but number 2 is that we make them guard us and we score. If they're taking the ball to the basket, we get to set our defense. So that'll be a big part of it. We have to score the ball. We have to take and make great shots. We'll try to go inside out first, just try to flatten their defense. But I think it's clear Akira got off and got us going, in that last game. And, he seems to be a guy that really we thrive when he's thriving. And so, but I'm looking forward to other guys stepping up as well. Maybe Marcus makes some shots today. Christian, he had some good looks last game. Hopefully he bangs a few. And Louis, we'll see. He got a beautiful one in the left corner at St. Bonnie's, and he's really starting to practice well again, getting healthy.
Yeah, from a personnel perspective, it feels like you guys have done overwhelmingly well all season at killing the heads of the snake for each team, whoever the best player, 2 best players are, but this is a team that's as deep as anyone in the country. So even if you guys handle Avila the way you did Frank Mitchell, this team has so many guys that can give you 10, 20 points a night. Yeah. When you think about the matchup in terms of the depth advantage that they have over you guys, how do you game plan against that?
It's hard, man. You're asking the good questions. They're hard. If you have the answers, let me know. But I would say the head of the snake is their rhythm. You know what I mean? Like, they're so rhythmic, their transition, and then the way they play, they're very fluid in the way they play. And if you can disrupt that rhythm, maybe a lot of them start to, get out of sorts. So that really is, if they're in rhythm and 21's using ball screens and they're making all the beautiful passes and they're getting the threes that they want, then you're in trouble. So it's really like it's disrupt the rhythm. One of the keys is disrupt rhythm and all blues. So we're really trying to disrupt that rhythm of what they do out there.
And Coach, we talked about how massive that win Saturday was for your group. What would a great effort tonight do for your group going forward?
We play to win. We're getting in there. We're going to try to win. We're going to try to figure it out. We, of course, as a staff, we kind of save it usually for last, but their one loss was against Stanford, who's my mentor, Kyle Smith. And Stanford went down 13, 15, double digits early. It was in a neutral court, but it was in California. And so I just chopped away, and then all of a sudden the transition offense of St. Louis kind of wilted a little bit as the second half went on, and then Stanford got their rhythm and got St. Louis out of there. So it can be done. We're going to have to figure it out. But we're up to the challenge, and our guys have been had a good 2 days and had good preparation, and they know what to expect, and they've been nails on the scouts lately. So and we've been good except for one game, Richmond, and transition. So hopefully we can do the job tonight.
Thank you, Coach, as always. Coach Magpayo before St. Louis and Fordham next on WFUV Sports.
Hello everyone, I'm Trey Rodriguez, calling you to tune in to WFUV Sports One-on-One, New York's longest running sports call-in show. We're live every Saturday on YouTube from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. and later at night on 90.7 FM from 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. We cover the latest news in the sports world with our wide range of beat reporters, as well as exclusive interviews with your favorite athletes. We'll see you next Saturday on One-on-One.
Back here at the Chaifetz Arena, Chris Carrino joined by Joe Henry, just moments away from St. Louis and Fordham A-10 action. Joe, we're in the midst of St. Louis starting lineups here. The Fordham starting lineups just said, as we've talked about, this St. Louis team as deep as any team in the country, but they have star power as well, and it all starts with the big number 21.
Right, absolutely is. Robbie Avila is probably the best player that Fordham has seen so far this year.
Steph Blurry, Joe.
Steph Blurry, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Larry Nerd.
Larry Nerd's a good one. He's a man who does not look like a basketball player.
Whoa. What are you saying about the rec specs?
I'm sorry, I don't mean that disrespectfully at all. But sometimes you watch a guy like Nikola Jokic and you're just stunned by how thorough his game is, how precise his passing is, how high IQ he plays the brand, but also how shockingly athletic he is. Robbie Avila is probably the best comp to Nikola Jokic in college. He's the best passing center in the country statistically, leads the country in assists among centers, and going into the year, him and Braden Smith on Purdue are the only active players in the entire country to say that they have 1,500 career points, 600 career rebounds, 350 career assists, all at the D1 level. There's no one else that can say that, just Avila and Braden Smith. That's pretty good company to be in, Chris. Preseason watch list for the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar Award, awarded to the best center in the country, the Naismith Trophy, the Oscar Robertson Trophy, the Wooden Award, all named to the best player or the best player plus character, academics, whatever it may be. This guy is one of the very best.
Of course, it'll be Robbie Avila in that starting lineup. He's joined in the front court position by Brady Dunlap. Brady Dunlap, a transfer from St. John's, one of not the only Big East transfer on this roster. Deion Brown, Amari McCourtry, and Quentin Jones make up that starting lineup. Trey Green will be a major piece coming off the bench for them as well. For the Fordham Rams, it's Day-Day Reeves and Christian Henry, of course, that electrifying backcourt that's been so good for the Rams. Rieke Schulte, Akira Jacobs, and of course Jack Whitbourne in the middle. It's the Fordham Rams in their away maroon, white numbers and letters. They're going to be going left to right, and the home St. Louis Billikens in their home white with blue names and numbers.
St. Louis wins the opening tip-off. It is Robbie Avila, of course, winning the tip-off, and St. Louis will start offensively. Quentin Jones has it up top, passes to Avila. Avila in the right corner. Dunlap plays it back up top. Jones driving inside, kicked out. Now at the top of the key, Avila's three, no good. Ball ping-ponging around under the basket, and Whitbourne has it for Fordham.
Not a shot you want to allow Robbie Avila. He was wide open at the top of the key there, about a step behind the three-point line, but Chris Henry got tripped trying to cover him on the help defense, but Fordham gets away with it.
Now Akira Jacobs giving to Jack Whitbourne, who plays it to Christian Henry on the Billikens logo at the top of the key. It's now Schulte, right wing, back up top. Day Reeves, 8 on the shot clock, driving left of the lane, goes up to the rim, no good on a heavily contested layup. Jones is out and running for St. Louis the other way. Outlet pass inside to McCourtry, tried to dunk it at the rim and missed the dunk. Two-handed slam was no good, and Fordham's coming quickly the other way. Christian Henry, deep on the left wing, calling for off-ball movement, gives it to Akira Jacobs. Jacobs back to Henry. Henry deep on the left wing. Guarded by McCourtry. Now going to go left around a Schulte screen. Pass inside to Whitbourne. Whitbourne has it, puts up a shot, gets it to go. After being harassed down low by Robbie Avila, it didn't matter. Fordham on the board first.
And Fordham going to sprint back because, as you saw in that McCourtry missed dunk, St. Louis is one of the fastest teams, not just in the conference, in the entire country. 23rd in the country in tempo. They're going to run off of everything.
Dunlap gets to Avila inside. Nice dump pass right inside to McCourtry, the guy you just talked about. He scores and gets the Billikens on the board. 2-2, 18-14 left to go in this first half. It's Day Reeves working at the top of the arc. Guarded tightly by McCourtry. It's now Jones guarding him. Pass to Schulte, top of the arc. Dribble handoff, Christian Henry. Henry tried to get it inside. It's taken away. Brady Dunlap now working in transition, kicks it out. Jones three, no good from the right wing. Brought down by Whitbourne for the Rams. Rams have it offensively.
An NBA-style offense for St. Louis. They're going to push it, and they're totally cool with taking a right wing three in transition off of a fast break opportunity with 25 on the shot clock.
Henry going right around the screen, has it top of the key. Takes a jumper. No good from mid-range. McCourtry there on the rebound. St. Louis once again offensively. Tried to get it to Jones on the right wing, eventually does. Robbie Avila scanning the court, pass inside to McCourtry. McCourtry defended heavily. Pass to Brown, left corner three, no good. Brown wide open, didn't get that one to fall.
So 3 missed wide open threes for St. Louis so far. That's not something that Fordham can sustain the whole way.
It's now Christian Henry, left wing, thought about the shot, did it. Pass to Day Reeves, left wing. Reeves picked up by Quentin Jones. Reeves. Pass to Schulte, left wing, takes a pop. No good on the three. Whitbourne on the offensive rebound. No good on his putback. Ball still moving around. Avila eventually grabs it.
Like the aggression from Whitbourne, though.
St. Louis now operating offensively. It's Quentin Jones. Top of the arc, pass inside McCourtry. Quick pass, left corner, Dunlap, no good. Nice closeout there from Akira Jacobs. Fordham now has it offensively. Low scoring affair early. 3.5 minutes in, just 4 points.
Chris, is about as poor an offensive stretch as you'll see from St. Louis all year.
Fordham trying to take advantage. Day Reeves, left corner. Going to go right around a Whitbourne screen. Ends up tripping. It's going to be an offensive foul. Dion Brown taking the plunge for St. Louis. And the Boston College transfer getting Day Reeves to pick up the foul.
They called him for a hook there. It's something that Reeves does a whole lot. When he comes off of a screen or is trying to rip around a defender on one of the wings and cut inside, he likes to hook around them with his off arm to gain a positional advantage. He's an aggressive player. This is an aggressive St. Louis defense. We haven't really seen that call all year, but it's called in the first time he tries to do it tonight. That does not bode well for a guy who really relies on it to get to the cup.
Yeah, not a call you see often in the game in general. Day Reeves takes a seat immediately. Dunlap gets it on an around-the-world pass and scores from the left corner. Dunlap finally makes that three from the left corner. It was his third one he's taken, and St. Louis finds the open man. Dunlap with finger guns to the student section after that one. He has them in a frenzy. 5-2 St. Louis, 15:57 to go in this first half. Christian Henry, left wing three. It's pure. Nothing but nylon for Christian Henry. He has his Rams knotted once again. 15:47 to go in this first half.
Fordham showing some fright and now dropping into a 2-3 zone first time today. We'll see how St. Louis deals with it.
Quentin Jones, pass to Avila on the left baseline. Drives inside, under the basket, loses the ball. Schulte on the ground. Marcus Green on the ground. Ball still loose. Eventually it gets to Quentin Jones. St. Louis has it. Extra pass, left corner. McCourtry driving and is fouled on the reach-in. Christian Henry pleading with the rest of his 4 teammates out there. An animated group of Fordham Rams after a very tenacious defensive segment.
Well, I think he's loving the fight because for the first time this game, a Fordham guy has gotten on the ground. A lot of times Fordham has committed in the help defense early in this game, and then it's turned into a wide open 3 from a St. Louis team that has done well to stay patient among those double teams and find the open man. And they haven't connected at a high rate, but this time Fordham, as soon as that ball comes loose on that left side baseline cut from Avila, Rika Schulte, who's guarding him on ball, and the ball is loose between his legs, just dives on the floor for it, scraps around for it, makes it a loose ball. Then Marcus Green has his head all the way at his ankles trying to recover the ball. Eventually St. Louis recovers, draws the foul from Schulte, but that's the kind of fight that inspires your group early on for Fordham, even if it doesn't turn into results right away.
Fordham Rams fighting hard early, 15:25 to go in this first half. They're knotted up 5-5 against the 8-10 leading St. Louis Billikens. We'll be right back. You're listening to Fordham Men's Basketball on WFUV Sports.
Hello, everybody. I'm Chris Carrino.
And I'm Joe Henry.
Tune in weekly for NFL Friday, your exclusive WFUV Sports podcast for all things National Football League.
We'll be covering everything on and off the gridiron for the biggest sports league in the world every week on Spotify, Apple, and wherever you get your podcast.
Can the Eagles repeat?
Will the Jets or Giants finally take a leap?
What's Shadur up to?
All of that and more on NFL Friday on WFUV Sports.
Five here in St. Louis, Missouri at the Chaifetz Arena, this beautiful home for the St. Louis Billikens. St. Louis Billikens have this home alone, don't share it with anybody. It's rare you see such big arenas around the country owned by solely a mid-major team. The St. Louis Billikens play to the level of their arena. They're 15-1 this season with only one loss coming to Stanford. Stanford taking on the North Carolina Tar Heels tonight. And Joe, as you said going into the timeout, the Fordham Rams fighting hard here early.
Yeah, this is a St. Louis team that's undefeated at home, and you understand why. Crazy home court advantage they have, but Fordham fighting hard these first few minutes. Tied up.
Top of the key, it's Avila. Looks down low. Nice pass to McCautry. McCautry out to Dunlap. Left wing 3. It's good. Nothing but net for Dunlap. And another great array of passing leads to a great shot for the Billikens.
Yeah, he's not going to stop shooting no matter whether he makes it or misses. This is one of many guys in this team that is just a driller from 3, as Mac Paya would say. 43% on the year.
Green out to Schulte. Back top of the key to Christian Henry. Henry going right around to Schulte's screen. Henry, top to Akira Jacobs. Back to Henry. Heavily contested left wing 3. No good. Whitbourne on the putback. No good on that one either. And Avila's there on the rebound. Fighting hard. It's now Dion Brown working out of the left post. Backing down Christian Henry. Passes out. That's straight on 3. No good. McCautry no good, but Brown there on the offensive rebound. He's diving and fighting hard. St. Louis on the second chance. McCautry driving inside. No good on the layup. Schulte, good defense there inside. Christian Henry deep on the right wing. Pass to Akira Jacobs, alternating wings. Now into the left post, Schulte. Schulte guarded by Avila. Backing him down, now at the left block. Faking left, still backing down right. One-handed floater, no good, and Avila's there on the rebound. St. Louis now moving slowly the other way offensively. McCautry leading the charge, pass to Avila. He'll take a 3. It's good from straight on. The star, Robbie Avila, gets his St. Louis Billikens out to a 6-point lead now. 11-5, 13:48 to go in this first half.
Yeah, they're going to keep spraying it, Chris. Wide open, highly contested, early shot clock, late shot clock, doesn't matter. Everyone on this team is willing to put up shots.
Christian Henry to Marcus Green, right wing. Pump fakes, drives inside, blocked. Quentin Jones and Amari McCautry were there to contest it, and Quentin Jones from behind rejected that thing.
I think the biggest theme so far, besides leaving shooters open for Fordham, and it hasn't been them totally so far, is that the Rams really haven't had a good look on offense the entire way so far. They haven't had a wide open take, and while they fought hard on the offensive boards, it's been the same theme all conference play, especially in first halves of games. finding a rhythm offensively, something they haven't done yet.
Day-Day Reeves checking back into this one. Schulte, right corner three. It's good. Rika Schulte with the three. Almost, it took me off guard a little bit. It was so quiet in here after the make. 11-7 now Rams. Straight on three, no good for St. Louis. It was Quentin Jones' second chance opportunity goes. It's the bench weapon, Kellen Thames, for this St. Louis team, getting the putback to go and getting St. Louis back out to a 6-point lead.
He's one of the best pound-for-pound rebounders in the country. He's only 6'5", but he's everywhere on the glass.
Reeves snaking through the lane, finds himself at the right block. Jumper goes over the much bigger Robbie Avila, and Fordham now getting the offense going.
Yeah, 2 straight makes for the first time today. Good to see a rhythm here.
Fordham winning 2 of their last 3 against St. Louis. Avila at the free throw line. Now moving to the right wing, readjusting. Faking the dribble handoff, takes the 3. It's good. Robbie Avila left wide open on the dribble handoff. He faked it and shot the 3.
That's going to be a tough decision for Rika Schulte to make. He's sagging off of him and letting him operate as a playmaker, but when he slowly backs up to the 3-point line, you have to be on that guy.
Day-Day Reeves on the right wing. Right to left crossover, then a left to right crossover. Pass to Akira Jacobs, top of the arc. Now to Louis Lesmond, working it on the left wing, driving inside through the middle of the lane, lost the handle, it was stolen. Stolen away by Quentin Jones, he now has it the other way. Stopping at the left wing behind the perimeter. Now backing down his defender, Marcus Green. Faking a spin baseline, now passing. Alternate side, right corner 3 is good! Kellen Thames gets the 3 to go, and St. Louis out to their biggest lead of the evening. It's 10, 19-9, 11:54 to go in this first half.
That's how this team gets you. Blink of an eye, a 10-point lead from a tie game just a few minutes ago. They're doing it off with a 3-ball. They're drilling them, and that last one is a backbreaker, particularly because it's the one time all game that Fordham has executed the scout properly. Kellen Thames is the only guy on this entire roster that doesn't shoot. He's great at everything else. When he's left wide open in the corners, the guy's only attempted 2 threes all year, and he hasn't made one. For him to not just catch and hesitate, but to just put one up right away and drill it, I mean, that is a sign. It's really an omen of what this game has been so far for Fordham, and that it's so fastly slipping away.
Fordham, St. Louis trying to create separation on the Rams. They're up 19-9, 11:54 to go in this first half. We're going to send it to the Rose Hill Studios for a one-on-one scoreboard update with Ari Patel. Take it away.
The one-on-one scoreboard.
Hello, I'm Ari Patel, and this is your one-on-one scoreboard. Starting off with the first A10 men's basketball matchup today, VCU played at Rhode Island with a final score of 84-75. VCU just ran away with it. Continuing on in the A10, Davidson is playing at George Washington with a current score of 49-32. Davidson up big early. Let's head over to Philadelphia, where St. Bonaventure is playing St. Joseph's with a current score of 37-42. Neck and neck in the Battle of the Saints. Rounding out the A10 lineup for tonight, LaSalle is playing at Richmond with a current score of 44-49. Neck and neck there too. Finishing off with women's basketball, our Fordham Rams are playing at Davidson with a current score of 34-50. Our Rams, will they come back? We'll see. With the one-on-one scoreboard, I'm Ari Patel.
Chris Carrino joined by Joe Henry here in the great Midwest, Chaifetz Arena here in St. Louis, Missouri. A beautiful arena for the St. Louis Billikens. St. Louis Billikens up 19-9, 11:54 to go in this first half. The Fordham Rams keeping it really competitive with a very talented St. Louis side in the beginning stages of this one. In the last minute or two, St. Louis has really separated themselves.
It felt like Fordham was matching St. Louis on the glass. They haven't converted their 3 offensive rebounds into a point yet, but Fordham still with a 9-7 advantage in the rebounding category. But as it's happened a few times this season, the 3-point shooting the big difference. Fordham 1 for 3 from 3 so far today. Rika Schulte made one. That's not really a guy you can rely on to make a lot, but St. Louis, man, as we talked about, weapon after weapon on this team, everyone capable of shooting at a high clip from distance. It's starting to get to them after they miss some easy ones early.
Fordham 42% from the 3-point line in their victory Saturday against St. Bonaventure. They have to hit or shoot at a similar clip to win against really talented teams, Joe. Day-Day Reeves passing Akira Jacobs, top of the arc. 19-9 St. Louis lead. Louis Lesmond in the left corner. Pass inside to Jack Whitbourne. He's fouled off the ball. That foul will be on Paul Otieno from the bench, and that'll be Second foul for St. Louis.
And the level of aggressiveness that St. Louis has defensively, on ball, off the ball, is just not something that Fordham has seen so far today. It's going to be a challenge for the ball handlers, especially on these entry passes to the bigs.
Jacobs from the corner, he hits. Akira Jacobs gets that one to go off the inbound, and that was the offensive explosion Fordham needed.
Huge. Twice in A-10 play, he's hit a career-high tying 4 threes. They need that from him to have a chance today.
From the right wing, that three's taken, no good from McCautry. Rebound fought for, eventually it's Jack Whitbourne with the rebound.
That was 5 guys crashing the glass to get that, Chris.
Good job from the Rams there securing the defensive rebound. They have it offensively now. Day-Day Reeves, top of the arc, guarded by Dion Brown. Now to Akira Jacobs, left wing. It's now Louis Lesmond, top of the arc. Pump fakes, then drives right. Back out to Akira Jacobs. Jacobs gives it to Day-Day Reeves. 6 seconds on the shot clock. Out of the left wing, takes a three after a pump fake. No good air ball. St. Louis grabs it and runs. McCautry leading the charge. Pass to Thames, right wing, right to left crossover, drives inside and gets it to go on the heavily contesting Marcus Green.
Thames, a guy who's shooting 73% from two-point range, one of the top marks in the entire country. He's just money when he gets inside, even over a defender.
Day-Day Reeves spinning right, driving through the middle of the lane and finishing in heavy traffic. With the right hand, Day-Day Reeves put some English on it and spun it on the right side of the backboard.
That spin move has really been working for him of late. They're going to need to see a lot of that from him today. He's going to need a similar performance to that career-high game against Bonaventure.
Now a three from St. Louis, no good. It was Sharma on the shot, didn't get it to go, and a foul on St. Louis on the rebounding attempt. It'll be Fordham going the other way.
It's a great fight from a guy in Marcus Green who's not often involved in the scrap for a rebound, but to draw a foul doing so, it underscores the team effort that Fordham needs to match the full team effort that St. Louis has in this game on the glass. It's not a St. Louis team that's particularly big, but all their guys are long and athletic, and all of them are crashers.
Marcus Green subbing out after that play, getting a big ovation from his coach going back to the bench. It'll be a foul at midcourt. It'll be Dion Brown tenaciously guarding Christian Henry. He picks up a foul. It'll be Fordham inbounding it in the front court.
The 2 quick fouls, can't complain about that. That's the 3rd for St. Louis, just 2 for Fordham. So neither team really too close to the bonus, but something to monitor.
It'll be Christian Henry inbounding right in front of the St. Louis bench. Christian Henry will get it off the inbound after a pass from Reeves. Henry has it on the right wing, drives inside, and a carry. Christian Henry called on a carry on the dribble into the lane by the official directly to his right.
Already 2 calls today that we haven't seen all season. Carry, I mean, I didn't even know that you could call that anymore. It's so rarely called in college and NBA because everyone does it. But Chris Henry there, he kind of stutter steps.
And Dion Brown tried to pass with one hand on the other side of the court. It was stolen away, and Fordham brought it back offensively and threw it right back to St. Louis.
They just threw it.
Actually, no, it'll stay with the Rams out of bounds.
Threw a chest pass to Akira Jacobs. That was a great break for Fordham when they weren't really applying that much
press. A lot of ego in that
inbound.
kind of pass.
No.
A baseball pass, cross court. It's Christian Henry now going right around a Whitbourne screen, drives to the middle of the lane, dump off pass to Jacobs, who finishes at the rim. Akira Jacobs gets Fordham back within 5, 21-16, 9:27 to go in this first half.
Barely seen that all season. We've seen Chris Henry driving and dumping, but how about Chris Henry drawing fouls?
Chris Henry, as you just said, picking up or drawing the foul. It was an offensive foul, specifically an illegal screen. Otieno Chris Henry drawing a masterful offensive foul there.
Right off.
Joe, what happened off the ball?
Well, he's chasing the guy that he's defending on the ball. A screen is set, and we saw this called actually against a Fordham player against St. Bonaventure, but so often you see the screener try and just gain that tiny competitive advantage, stick out their leg a little bit, stick out their hip a little bit. Chris Henry did a great job of taking the bump and selling that.
Christian Henry's teammates appreciate that. Fordham now working offensively. Whitbourne out of the left wing. Dribble handoff, Day-Day Reeves. Another dribble handoff, Christian Henry. Left wing, pump fakes, then takes. It's good. Christian Henry gets it to go, and he's got his team energized. They're now within 2, 21-19, 8:55 to go in this first half.
2 early triples for a guy who was scoreless last game and is shooting 30% from distance on the year. Huge.
The Chaifetz Arena has gotten really quiet. It's McCautry, top of the arc. Pass on the left wing. Sharma working on Henry, back to McCautry. McCautry quickly inside to Avila. drives left, doesn't finish on the layup. It was Whitbourne defending. Avila on the second chance doesn't get that one to go. It's going to fall out of bounds. It'll stay on this side with St. Louis. Whitbourne on the ground after the first Avila attempt, and Avila tripping over him on the ground on the second attempt.
Yeah, they're actually going to call it a shooting foul on Whitbourne.
for being the item that Avila tripped on.
I don't think you could possibly have a greater distance from yourself to the ball on a shooting foul, but since Whitbourne was on the ground, Avila didn't hit him when he went up for a layup, which he smoked, but as he came down, he hit him, and he fell down and drew the foul, and he's taken 2 shots.
Now Robbie Avila at the line makes the first. Preseason A10 first-team player. By far a career high in three-point percentage this year, 46% on 65 attempts so far this season. We've seen it so far a few times in this one, but he's called his greatest strength his vision of the floor, being able to see the full floor offensively. We've seen that with his passing in the early stages of this one so far. He makes his second as well. It's now a 4-point lead for St. Louis. Day Reeves working for Fordham offensively. Deep out of the left wing, pass to Christian Henry, top of the arc. Henry guarded tightly by Thames. Now on the right wing, Lesmond, quick fire and hit. Louis Lesmond, a quick catch and fire, and he gets it to go. The Harvard transfer now has Fordham within 1 now, 23-22, 8 minutes to go in this first half.
Might be the first time he's hit on that exact take all year. He loves that take, curling off of the screen, right wing. He just hasn't hit it. Huge for a guy who's really struggled.
Avila, cross-court pass on the baseline, back out. An array of passes, ends up with Jones. Jones back out to Thames. Thames crossing through, diving through the middle of the lane, off the middle of his chest, out of bounds on the baseline. It's Fordham ball. What a play there from the Fordham defense all around.
Man, this St. Louis offense is tough because they don't have anyone who's selfish. They have so many high major talents, but they're all so content in their roles. And you see extra pass, extra pass, extra pass. That's what we saw in that possession. And you figure when finally Ishan Sharma beats his defender off maybe the 5th pass on that possession, that it's going to create a great look, whether it's a driving layup, a floater, a dump-off pass to a big man drawing a foul. But no, Fordham's stick-to-itiveness, the quickness in the rotational defense has been there. It feels like this defensive identity that marked this team the entire month of December, that has been kind of shaky through A10 play, has come alive here against a team that, look, 23 points in 12 plus minutes for St. Louis. This offense is high octane, but to be in this game, it says a lot about the scrappiness of this Fordham team, the toughness. It's a St. Louis team, as I said, scoring margin 25 points. They win their average game by 25 points. They've only been in 2 close games all year, maybe 3 if you count the VCU contest. This is a team that is frankly used to dominating teams. And Fordham, as we've seen all season, is not one to be dominated. They've yet to be blown out. They've yet to play a team like St. Louis through 12 minutes. This shows that they compete with anyone.
Fordham Rams as competitive as you can be right now. They trail by 1, 23-22. St. Louis leads, 7:46 to go in this first half. We'll take a little break from St. Louis. You're listening to Fordham men's basketball on WFUV Sports.
Hey everyone, it's Lydia Perner.
And Grace McCarran.
And we are 2 of your hosts for 5 on 3.
WFUV's best, if only, hockey podcast.
With all the storylines in the tri-state area, you won't want to miss an episode.
How will Matthew Schaefer fit in with the Islanders?
And will the Rangers have a bounce-back season under Mike Sullivan?
Finally, will the Devils be able to stay healthy and hit their full potential?
Stick with us all season for all things NHL and Will Cooley updates on WFUV Sports.
Chris Carrino joined by my partner Joe Henry. The Fordham Rams with a heck of a stretch, a heck of a 3 to 4 minute stretch. They're back within 1 on the 8-10 leading St. Louis Billikens, 23-22, 7:46 to go in this one. The St. Louis Billikens in their home white uniforms. They have a nice design across the back of their jerseys. It looks like the Gateway Arch here in St. Louis, Missouri. The Gateway Arch, obviously the biggest tourist attraction here in St. Louis. Also told Joe earlier today in our hotel room, the Gateway Arch, the only public park in the state of Missouri. A tourist attraction to say the least, Joe.
It absolutely is a spectacle. It's a beautiful city. I've never been to St. Louis. It's been very hospitable to us so far.
And Joe, you know what else has been a spectacle this last 3 or 4 minutes of Fordham play?
Well put, Chris.
Thank you. I try. Day Reeves has it out of the break. We'll have it deep on the left wing. Fordham offense operating. Pass to Christian Henry, top of the arc, guarded tightly. Pass on the right wing. Lesmond off a screen, takes a three, no good off back iron. Second chance grab by Whitbourne. Fordham now working again. Day Reeves left wing three, no good off back iron again. Rika Schulte on the offensive rebound again. That put back no good. St. Louis eventually grabs the defensive rebound. Fordham stacking chances there offensively.
More great fight from Fordham, but now 0 for 4 on these putback opportunities at the rim.
Now a left corner three, Dion Brown hits it. Dion Brown's three goes, and he has the St. Louis Billikens back out to a 4-point lead. Henry moving left around a screen. Now finds Whitbourne, top of the arc, ball above his head, pass to Lesmond. Right wing, gets it into Schulte, right block, backing down his defender, much smaller defender, and he lost the ball. St. Louis picks it up, they're moving offensively. Nice outlet pass up ahead, Quentin Jones guarded tightly at the rim, no good on his shot, but he'll get fouled. He's going to the rim for two.
Again, make, miss, turnover, St. Louis is gonna run. Last two possessions, that's bit Fordham. And on these big runs that St. Louis has gone on, if you want to count this one in the making, to go from up 1 to now up 3, a chance to be up 5, when the momentum is really swung out of this timeout, both of these possessions have been them running in transition. Wide open corner three early in the shot clock, and then a couple passes up ahead. When they notice Rika Schulte goes down and you have a man advantage, just push it up, draw the foul, easy points at the line for a great shooting team.
Quentin Jones at the line now, shooting 81% on the season, 34 for 42. Made the first free throw. That's his first point of the night. Makes the second as well. His first 2 points of the night. He's now 3 away from 1,000 career points. And a full court press here from St. Louis. Dunlap tips the inbound, and Christian Henry grabs it back. Fordham evading disaster. Now 6-point deficit for the Rams. 6.5 to go in this first half. Schulte out of the left wing. Plays it up top. It's now on the left wing. Jacobs dumps it into the left post. Henry backing down his defender. Drives baseline. Spinning. Right-handed, one-handed floater. No good. Schulte tracks down the offensive rebound. Second chance for the Rams. Out left wing, Christian Henry. Stutter step right. He now passes inside Whitbourne. Whitbourne out of the left block, backing down Avila. Whitbourne spinning left, baseline. Jumper no good off glass. And that one rebounded by Dion Brown. St. Louis has it once again. It's Jones driving inside. No good on the right-handed up and under layup, but he'll get fouled once again. Going to the rim, and he'll go to the line for 2. It was Rika Schulte on the foul.
It's going to be a real challenge for Fordham's big men when St. Louis is moving full throttle in transition to defend without fouling, because it's solid early in the game. It forces you to make them at the line. No easy buckets in transition. That was good help from Schulte, and it wasn't really terrible positioning. It was 50-50 on whether or not that foul was going to get called.
And Jones, good on the first free throw.
But Fordham can't afford to have players get in foul trouble. That's Schulte's second foul. Chris Henry's got 2 turnovers, no fouls, but Whitbourne also has a foul. You can't allow this front court to get into foul trouble.
St. Bonaventure fell in foul trouble against the Rams on Saturday. It was one of the reasons the Rams were able to come back into that one. Quentin Jones makes the second free throw as well. He's 1 away from 1,000. Quentin Jones, a native of Southside Chicago. The Fordham Rams now operating offensively. 5.5 to go in this first half. An 8-point lead for the Billikens. Henry out of the right wing. Working on Dunlap. Drives left side of the lane. Backs down his defender. Nice up and under move, and no good at the rim. Whitbourne on the second chance. He gets it to go. Nice presence inside offensively from Whitbourne.
Great move from Henry to fake his defender, step through, just missed the layup. But when you put a shot up on the rim after beating your defender, odds are a guy like Jack Whitbourne is going to be there to clean it up.
Fordham scratching and clawing to stay competitive in this one. It's a 6-point deficit. Avila out to Brown. Brown fakes and then shoots. It's good! Dion Brown on the heavy contest from Akira Jacobs gets that one to go from deep. He has the Billikens back out to a 9-point lead, 33-24. 5 minutes to go in this first half.
Is that 3-point shooting coming alive again? 7 of 14 now, 50% from 3.
Henry lob pass inside to Whitbourne. Whitbourne defended heavily, and it's poked away. Once again, it's Jones. Jones moving offensively out to Dunlap. Dunlap, nice dump pass inside to Jones, who finishes it. Jones on the steal and Jones on the finish. The Full court press once again for the Billikens. Billikens back out to a double-digit lead, 35-24. 4.5 to go in this first half. Day Reeves trying to stop the bleeding for the Rams. He has the top of the key. Guarded by the much longer Quentin Jones. Fakes a spin right, drives left through the right side of the lane. No good at the rim, off the glass. Another miss at the rim for the Rams. Sharma up top to Avila. Avila trying to get it to Dion Brown. Looks the other way. Gives it back to Sharma. Sharma back to Avila. Avila, the top of the key. Back to Sharma. Sharma straight on three. It's good. Sharma got the defensive switch he wanted in Whitbourne, and as soon as he did, he didn't hesitate. Let it fly.
Weapons. St. Louis got weapons. Up and down the lineup. Everyone can shoot it. And some of these guys, like an Ishan Sharma, can shoot it from anywhere. He shot that maybe a few feet inside the logo. That's an NBA range three. This kid's a sniper. The scouting report, he only takes threes. 86% of his shot attempts are threes, and he's a 43% shooter. High volume, high efficiency. Name of the game for a St. Louis team that is showing you in these last few minutes why it's ranked so favorably.
St. Louis Billikens jumping all over the Fordham Rams. They now have a 14-point lead, 38-24, 3:46 to go in this first half. We'll have the rest of first half action, but first we're going to send it to the Rose Hill Studios for another one-on-one scoreboard update with Ari Patel. Take it away, Ari.
The one-on-one scoreboard.
Hello, I'm Ari Patel, and this is your one-on-one scoreboard. Starting off in the NBA, the Jazz are in a thriller early with the Bulls in Chicago, with the current score of 26-28, 2-point game. Over in Philadelphia, the 76ers are down late against the Cavaliers, with a current score of 53-71. Later tonight, the Nuggets and Mavericks play in Dallas at 9:30. Rounding off with college basketball, currently Ole Miss and Georgia are playing with a current score of 66-68. And Illinois and Northwestern just started their game with a score of 2-0. With the one-on-one scoreboard, I'm Ari Patel.
Here in the home of the Gateway Arch, St. Louis, Missouri, the St. Louis Billikens, the hosting St. Louis Billikens, up 38-24, 3:46 to go in this first half. The Fordham Rams really have been trounced over this last 4 to 5 minutes. St. Louis Billikens playing fast. They now have 6 fast break points to Fordham's 0. Also have 10 points on turnovers to Fordham's 5. In general, St. Louis likes to play fast. Fordham doesn't. They're averaging almost 10 possessions more than Fordham on the season, and this St. Louis team doing what they do and doing it at a really high level.
Yeah, St. Louis has created great looks by playing fast, and Fordham has struggled at times to adjust to the speed at which St. Louis plays. As you said, Chris, this is a Fordham team that plays really slow, but really this entire game so far has been defined by the three-point line. First 4 minutes, Fordham hanging in there. The game's tied 5-5. St. Louis is missing all of its wide-open threes. Second stretch, St. Louis starts burying them, goes 5 of 10 on the game from 3. They build up a 10-point lead, and then Fordham comes right back the next 4-minute stretch, and they drill 3 of their next 4 3-point attempts to make this a 1-point game. And then in these last 4 minutes, St. Louis, again, just drilling from 3. They're 8 of 15, 53% from distance.
It'll be Fordham out of the timeout. Full court press from St. Louis. Fordham will get it across half court. They're in the front court now. St. Louis 53% from the three-point line, 52% from the field, and 100% from the free throw line. That's efficient. Christian Henry going right around the screen, curling into the right of the lane, back out, Marcus Green, right wing, back to Jack Whitbourne. Jack Whitbourne, dribble handoff to Marcus Green. 6 seconds on the shot clock. Pass back to Whitbourne. Whitbourne backing down Avila, middle of the paint, doesn't realize the shot clock is winding down and doesn't get the shot up in time. Fordham Rams just weren't aware of it. They turn the ball over once again.
They're having so much trouble getting an edge on defenders inside. Their really only help getting the ball into the paint is throwing it into the post and having a guy back someone down, but they're not beating anyone on the drives. They're not getting into the paint, collapsing the defense, and creating good looks.
And now driving inside, Thames no good on the right-handed floater off glass. Fordham gets it back offensively. Thames is one-on-one there with Schulte. Schulte did a good job. Reeves, top of the key, guarded by Dunlap, left to right crossover, drives inside, puts the shot up, plus the foul. Day Reeves with the and one, and possibly what the Rams needed. They're back within 12 now, 38-26, 2:46 on the first half clock.
Super encouraging sign for a guy in Reeves who I thought had probably his worst game of the year against George Mason when he drew the matchup on Corey Mincy, who's a very aggressive and long defender. He's 6'3", he's lengthy. Day-Day Reeves just 6 feet tall, and he really struggled with his level of physicality. Now, this is a super physical St. Louis team, no matter who they have guarding Day-Day Reeves. I think he struggled with it a bit so far, but to draw contact, fight through it, and secure the and one is an encouraging sign.
Yeah, Day-Day Reeves, as you said, securing the and one, completing the three-point play. He has the Rams back within 11, 38-27, 2:40 to go in this first half. McCautry out of the top of the arc, driving left of the lane, guarded by Jacobs. Kicks it out, and it's stolen away. Henry steals it. Driving in transition, past to Marcus Green, left corner three, no good, off the right side of the rim. Tracked down by Quentin Jones, but I believe he stepped out of bounds.
He did. He stepped
out
on
the other
a
side.
Wide open rebound. He just kind of slipped, and then his foot went on the end line. So
he was by himself in the backcourt.
A 3-second chance for Fordham, but you have to create the best possible look in transition. Every opportunity Fordham gets off a turnover needs to be perfect. That one from Marcus Green, I thought he just rushed the three.
Christian Henry out of the inbound, going through the middle of the lane. Fadeaway jumper, no good from the mid-range. Rebound brought down by Thames. Now Thames leading the charge. Pass on the right wing to Jones. Quentin Jones going right around the screen, driving middle of the paint, dump off pass, interrupted, got it right back. Quentin Jones still under the basket, pass to a cutting Thames who finishes it with two hands at the rim. Kellen Thames getting the decimal meter up in this arena. Defensive chance breakout in the crowd. 13-point lead for St. Louis. Day-Day Reeves out of the right elbow, takes a mid-ranger, no good. Rebound brought down by McCautry. St. Louis really trying to create separation now.
And it's Fordham's guards trying to create offense themselves in the mid-range, and it's really not working.
13-point lead for St. Louis. Jones on the baseline, pass inside to a cutting Thames once again, who finishes at the rim. Same play as their last offensive possession, and St. Louis makes it work anyway.
For Fordham, you have to wipe the past few minutes clean. You got 1:10 to correct things. You got maybe 3 possessions. You have to make them your best 3 possessions.
As Joe said, a minute left, 42-27, St. Louis lead. Day-Day Reeves going right around a Whitbourne screen, stopping in the mid-range, spinning right, puts up a floater, and it's good with the right hand. Day-Day Reeves, impressive stuff out of the mid-range. 13-point lead for St. Louis, 42-29, 48 seconds left on the first half clock.
2-3 zone again for Fordham.
It's McCautry, top of the arc. Dribbling, not moving around too much. Pass inside to Avila at the free throw line. Fakes a floater, pass inside, and Thames finishes it under the basket. Kellen Thames with a heck of a stretch in this first half. Timeout, Billikens after the score. Coach Mike Magpaio was asking his assistant coaches next to him who their worst free throw shooter was. I think the Fordham Rams were thinking about possibly a 1-and-1 situation there. Instead, St. Louis scores.
Yeah, the issue is they don't have one. The only guy who's not a good free throw shooter is Amari McCautry. He shoots 63%, and he wasn't out there. And when Magpaio yelled at his bench after the timeout and said, who was it? Who's the guy we should be fouling in this situation and forcing a one-on-one? Troy Hamill said, they don't have one.
That is debilitating. If you're deflating also, but debilitating because you feel like you're clawing, especially at the half stages of this first half. It felt like this Fordham team was really fighting hard. It seems like a lot of that work has sort of gone to nothing.
And that's emblematic of what this St. Louis team does to teams. They're a demoralizing unit because they just don't have weaknesses. Player to player, everyone can do everything. Everyone can shoot, everyone can slash, everyone wants to run in transition, everyone wants to crash the glass, everyone is comfortable in their roles. And wholesale, there's really not an area of their game where they are not elite. They're top 75 in literally every single major statistical and analytical advanced category except for turnovers. They're an average team with turnovers. That's the point where you can beat them. But everything else this team does is exceptional, and it's frustrating for coaching staffs.
St. Louis playing the Goliath role well. Fordham not a team that's going to give up. This Fordham team is going to play hard for 40 minutes. Christian Henry inbounding it. It'll be a full court press once again for St. Louis. 23 seconds on the game clock. 15-point lead for St. Louis. Fordham just trying to get a score going into the locker room for halftime. Christian Henry, deep out of the left wing, receiving direction from his coach. Now drifting to the top of the key. Defensive switch. Going right around to Whitbourne's screen, driving through the right side of the lane. No good at the rim. Whitbourne on the second chance, no good, but a foul called on the shot, and Whitbourne will go to the line for 2. Christian Henry's chance at the rims, almost rolling off the entire parameter of the rim. Whitbourne doing a good job of being productive on the second chance.
I think some of Fordham's best possessions have been when Chris Henry has gotten to the rim, because even if he misses, then Jack Whitbourne's going to be right there to crash because Henry's drawing 2 defenders. Whitbourne misses on his first. It's been a frustrating half for a guy in Whitbourne who already has 9 rebounds. He's been one of the best rebounders in the conference since he came back. Just his 6th game, he's already got 9 rebounds, 4 offensive, but this is the first time that he's had a chance to really do something with it.
Whitbourne, after he missed the first, trying to make the second. 2.3 on the game clock. Kingston Price at the scores table, ready to check in. Whitbourne good on the second. Coach Magpio and his assistant coaching staff screaming for a substitution. They get it. It'll be Kingston Price subbing in for Day Reeves. Trying not to pick up another Day Reeves foul here. Quick possession here for St. Louis. Half-court heave, no good. It was Ishan Sharma on the half-court heave, and the Ontario native couldn't get it to go. But still, St. Louis up 44-30, a 14-point lead after an impressive first half from the hosting Billikens.
It's what this team does. It leaves you searching for answers. It leaves you as a broadcaster scouring the box score to see what the heck just happened. Because this St. Louis team really struggled for a solid 7 minutes of this half. The first 4 minutes and then another 3-minute stretch in which Fordham flat out out-hustled them and at times outperformed them. And yet you look at the scoreboard, and it's what we've seen all year, a 14-point lead going into the half, pacing to win a game by 28. A team that just had no trouble winning at home, has had no trouble beating up on any team that's not considered a contender in their conference. That's what this St. Louis club does. And they compete on the glass against the best rebounding team in the conference in Fordham. They only turn the ball over 4 times. They convert on their looks, and I think the biggest thing is that pace of play. We talked about it, Chris. This St. Louis team sprints in transition off of a made shot, a missed shot, a turnover. They are running and gunning. They have guys who know where to be. Should I slide to the corner and get a wide open 3, or should I cut inside where they have some of the most efficient inside scorers in the country? A guy like Kellen Thames who really just doesn't miss at the cup. And more often than not, either they've gotten that wide open guy slashing to the cup, or it's taken maybe 2 extra passes to find someone wide open on. They've taken 15 threes. I'd venture to say on 12 of them, a guy has had more than 6 feet of space. So much room for St. Louis, and it's not really Fordham's fault. I mean, some of these are communication errors. Chris Henry gets lost sometimes in communication on defense. A Fordham team that's not really used to playing high-paced teams so far this year. Ione is really the only team they played that is in the upper echelon of the country in terms of pace. But you have to credit St. Louis more than you can look at what Fordham needs to do better, because this team is going to sprint, they're going to make the right pass, they're going to take the right shot. Seriously, Chris, I'm racking my brain. 20 minutes, I can't think of a time they took a shot and I said, that's a bad shot. They did not take a mid-range shot the entire half. This team is the best shot profile in the conference. They just don't take mid-rangers, just 3s and close 2s.
A truly modern basketball team, only things really close to the rim or 3-pointers.
And that's how they beat you, because analytically that's so strong. It takes the right amount of players, the right kind of players, and the right kind of buy-in from your players to execute on that. And that's what this team has, a whole ton of buy-in in the system and what they're trying to do offensively. Run it, take 3s, take close 2s, eliminate the mid-rangers. You're going to be efficient, and they are. 55% from the field, 53% from 3, 6 of 6 at the free throw line. A team in which everyone can do everything. That's hard to beat.
St. Louis has Billiken Nation in a buzz here at Chaifetz Arena here in St. Louis, Missouri. As we head into the halftime, St. Louis University has all of their sports teams coming out on the court. Going to be a massive picture, each team with their respective sport in a sign being held by their captain. And for now, for halftime, 44-30, St. Louis leading the Fordham Rams after an impressive first half. As Joe Henry said, an efficient first half offensively for the Billikens. We're going to send it back to the Rose Hill Studios for a halftime report from, of course, who we've heard from, Ari Patel and host Henry Wolf. Take it away, guys.
The one-on-one halftime report.
Welcome back into the studio here at Rose Hill. My name is Henry Wolf, and tonight I'm joined by Ari Patel. Coming into the path, as you've heard from Chris, the Rams are losing to the St. Louis Billikens, the score being 30-44. Fordham, however, is coming off an A10 win against the St. Bonaventure University Bonnies, winning that game 81-77. However, things aren't looking as bright tonight for the Rams. Big takeaway here is how efficient the Billikens in and how sloppy the Rams have been. It's pretty crazy looking at the numbers here. The Billikens 56% from the field goal, 100% from the free throw line, going 6 for 6. They have 16 bench points to Fordham's 3, have 2 more steals than Fordham. It's looking bad for Fordham. Any opening thoughts, Ari?
Yeah, like you said, Fordham's just been sloppy. But I think another important thing to look at is St. Louis's bench. Their leading point scorer in the first half was Kellen Thames, off the bench with 13 points, whereas Fordham only had 3 points from the bench from Louis Lesmond. And I think that's going to be a key differentiator in this game, where this is the point where great teams pull away from good teams.
Yeah, and we were listening to our play-by-play in color talk about the three-point shot potential of the Billikens. They are 53% from behind the arc. That's like pretty close to NBA numbers. It's really impressive. And all season long, we've known that Fordham hasn't been a three-point team. They have only 40% tonight with, players that shouldn't be shooting three-pointers in tough situations. It really doesn't feel like it's clicking at all for the Rams right now. We have, our big guys shooting threes, our forwards not making plays. The only real standout right now is Whitbourne. He's got 9 rebounds. Whitbourne himself is averaging 11.5 points, 10 rebounds over the last 4, and shooting about 60% from the field. He's the one guy that Fordham needs, really, to pull through here for the team. Day-Day's got 9. He's scoring double digits in all 16 games, but it doesn't take 1 or 2 players to pull through.
Yeah, I think one thing that is a positive, though, for Fordham is in the first half, they actually had more rebounds than St. Louis, 18-14, like you said, with Whitbourne having 10 of them, over half of their rebounds.
Yeah, and specifically here, Fordham's got 9 offensive rebounds to the Billikens 3. I think that should translate to what the score is, but it's not. Like, Whitbourne needs to be putting the ball in more or dishing it out. Christian Henry's looking good. Day-Day's scoring, but overall, St. Louis defense is just demoralizing, as Joe said. They're winning their games by an average of 20 points. It looks like they could do it again. Is there anything Fordham can do coming out of the half to turn this game around? Give them some momentum.
I completely agree with everything you said. They really need to clean up those mistakes and translate some more into offense. Obviously, this is a good team. This is a great team. Great defense. They could make a run into the tournament. But they had to have a chance for this game. It was close early on. They're starting to pull away now. I think, obviously, points. But DeJour Reeves is leading with 9 points. I think he needs to continue scoring more, and we can see what comes out in the second half. Hopefully they come out hot.
Hopefully, indeed. Another player I think we need to be seeing more of is star player Rikus Schulte. He's averaging about 12 points per game, 10 rebounds a game, which is second in the A10, 18th in the NCAA over the last 13 games, with 7 double-doubles during that time frame. And he's also shooting about 60%. And over the season, like, he's an impressive player. Tonight, he is only he's got 2 points tonight and 2 rebounds. He's got a turnover. It looks like St. Louis been watching film. Like, he's been locked down.
Yeah, like you said, they've definitely been watching film. The 60% field goal percentage he's been averaging on the season, down to 25% tonight. They've been locking him down and focusing on him heavy.
It's not what you like to see. As Joe said, they're the demoralizing unit. Mm-hmm. They're getting everybody into this game, especially, like you said, Kellen Thames. I want to talk about what you said about St. Louis being a contending team here and what that means playing Fordham. The fact that they have 16 points off the bench, Kellen Thames leading that with 13 right now, is really the deciding factor for a team that wants to play later in March. What can Fordham take away from this other than, we need to lock down perimeter D, or locking down points inside the paint, getting more assists. We only have 4 assists right now compared to the Billiken's 12. Playing more as a team. I haven't seen this team at all. I can't even define them as a team. I know it's harsh, but what does Magpie need to tell these guys, even at halftime, post-game, something, because we're playing a team right now that is in contention. And I think that's a good thing for a team that's, we have a new coach, a lot of new players, a lot of international players, and we're just trying to find some glue here. And I have no clue what it could be. Do you have any thoughts?
I think, just like you said, I think right now in the locker room, they need to be telling them to play as a team. St. Louis plays as a team, and that's why they're performing so well this whole season and even in this game. They need to play as a team from the starters to the bench, all across, offense and defense, transition, everything. I think that is what's really going to translate, maybe not just this game, but also across the season and in future seasons. I think that should be an important theme.
Yeah, agreed. Transition points, important. Another player I think we want to see a little more of is senior guard Christian Henry. He's averaging 14 points over his last 8 games. Unfortunately, he's been injured. He's back now. Tonight, he's got 6 points. He's got 3 assists. It's great. It could be better. It takes somebody now to step up and be a leader. Is there a player you want to see have a better second half than they did in the first half?
I think, like you said, I agree. Christian Henry, we need to see him step up. He's taking shots, but he's still 2 for 8 from the field. And 2 for 3 on 3 points, so slightly better. But we just need to see him step up, become a leader, like you said. And I think that can definitely translate in the second half.
Agreed. And for me, I think that's going to have to be Rico Schulte. He's been one of the players that I look for in the box score when he's got, 11 points, 10 rebounds, 4 or 5 assists. So I just want somebody to step up. I want to see some kind of attitude, because if we can go and at least, not lose this game by 20, that what St. Louis has been doing to teams, I think that proves a point to the fans about, Fordham does want to play. Fordham does want to win games. And they're here to play. They have a bright future ahead of them with Rory Core and Akira Jacobs. And how can they take momentum from the season into the next one? I'm not calling the season a bust, but it starts now. It starts in big games like these. Do you have any closing thoughts?
Yeah, completely agree with what you just said. The Fordham Rams are 1-3 in the A-10 this season, and St. Louis is 3-0. That's a big difference. This game would be a huge win, not only for that record, but just in general for the season. This would be a season-defining moment. So we just need to see something change in the second half.
We are definitely hoping something will change. That'll be a wrap here from the studio. We are going to turn it back to Joe Henry and Chris Carrino in St. Louis. As always, this has been a production of WFUV Sports on 90.7. Back to you guys.
Hey sports fans, it's Bobby C. I'm the sports director here at WFUV. From live broadcasts of Fordham athletics to coverage of all the professional sports teams in the NYC, we've got everything a sports fan could ask for. Like talking sports? Check out One on One, New York's longest-running sports call-in show, as well as our diverse collection of podcasts. If you're a Fordham student interested in joining our program, feel free to shoot me an email, bobbyc@wfuv.org. And as always, thank you to all of our listeners who support us every week. 90.7 FM is the home of WFUV Sports.
Taking you live from St. Louis, Missouri, the great Midwest of America, the most west Joe Henry's ever been in his life. Also, the first time Joe Henry's been in a later time zone than the Eastern time zone as well. And we find ourselves here after a pretty dominant St. Louis first half. The St. Louis Billikens up 44-30, 2:31 to go in this first half, or in this half. We're going to get to second half action in a minute or two. But first, Joe, kind of thinking about that first half, it felt the Fordham Rams had a really good around 4 or 5 minute stretch. But aside from that, it was an efficient dominant half for St. Louis.
It absolutely was. And when you look at the scoreboard, 14 points is a lot and a half, but it's also not the kind of discrepancy that you can't come back from. So this is where a Fordham team that had a really good run against St. Bonaventure, to say the least, kind of blew them out to start the second half. You really need that big first punch of the second half in this game just to stay alive, but that's saying a lot. Is asking a lot of a Fordham team that has really struggled against a St. Louis club that's, frankly, it's the first time all season. We've watched them every single game they've played. Fordham playing its 18th game. I think this is the first time you could say that they've been outmatched. I think the St. Louis team, obviously they play faster, but the physicality's on another level. The NBA likeness of their offense, so to speak, just the willingness to chuck early shot clock threes and the talent they have, the shooters. I mean, everyone 1 through 5 except for one guy in their rotation is not just a three-point shooter, but like an excellent 40% type of guy. And they also have the wherewithal where they have a kind of do-it-by-committee attack as far as playmaking, where Avila has the ball a lot. He's a high-usage rate guy, but really everyone on their team is capable and willing to make plays, and this offense just feels at times unstoppable. And for a Fordham defense that ranks top 20 in the country in a lot of defensive metrics, 44 points and a half, maybe their worst first-half defensive performance on the year. I'd have to stat-check that. But it says a lot about just how overwhelming the St. Louis unit is.
St. Louis, 8 for 15 from 3 in that first half, 6 for 6 from the free throw line, 15 for 27 from the field. Fordham's going to need to have a St. Louis-like second half if they're going to want to come back into this one.
They absolutely will. I mean, 8 of 15 from distance. You're not going to win a game when the other team makes 16 threes in a game. If you were to parlay that and they end up shooting 16 of 30 in this game, if you double those stats. And for Fordham, 4 of 10 from 3, that's totally fine. I think that's the amount of shots they should be taking, maybe 10 threes and a half, maybe 9. And to be shooting at 40%, you can't complain with that at all. But frankly, I mean, I don't know if any of those makes were on wide open threes. A lot of these have a hand in the face, and Fordham's just making it. And that's confidence inspiring for a Fordham unit that at times this season, and really for most of the season, has really struggled from distance. To be able to parlay the momentum they've created from the three-point line from St. Bonaventure into this game, that's a positive. But otherwise, offensively, they need to find a way to get the edge with their drivers, their ball handlers, Reeves and Henry, just getting that half step on a defender and forcing the defense to collapse. The few times that they were able to do that, and they weren't able to much against a St. Louis unit that's just so long, so tough, so physical defensively, that's been their best possessions.
Fordham Rams going to try and get back into this one, try and get back into a competitive place in this one. It's 44-30. Second half just on the horizon. It'll be Fordham inbounding this one to start the second half. Christian Henry at midcourt. He'll start this one off. Pass to Day Reeves in the backcourt, and Christian Henry will direct the Fordham offense and lead and start us off.
See who they draw up a look for here.
Whitborn has it on the left wing to Schulte. Dribble handoff. Day Reeves. Day Reeves, top of the key. Pass on the left wing. Christian Henry driving inside under the basket now, tries to put up a reverse, no good at the rim, and it's brought down by McCautry.
Yeah, just forcing it. I thought it was a good way to get Henry ahead of steam going to the basket there, and an edge, but no execution.
And a steal from Day Reeves off the ball. He comes all the way on the other side of the court, pass back out. Now to Christian Henry, driving to the left side of the lane. Ball finds its way to Day Reeves once again, deep on the left wing, and a foul. It'll be a reach-in on Dion Brown. Dion Brown tenaciously guarding Day Reeves through that screen set by Jack Whitborn. It'll be a foul on the floor. Nice play by Day Reeves defensively to get Fordham the ball back.
That great steal. You'd love to see someone take that shot, early shot clock, and translate that transition opportunity into some points. But for Reeves, good job drawing a foul early. If Fordham can get to the line a little, that'll help.
Day Reeves in the left corner, going right around a Whitborn screen once again. Now pass back out, top of the arc. Christian Henry. Back to Day Reeves. Left wing, wide open three. No good. It goes. It bounced so high off the rim, I didn't think it went. It did. Day Reeves miraculously gets that three to go. He has Fordham back within 11. 18:53 to go in the second half.
I don't think I've ever seen a shot like that in my life.
Jones pass to McCautry. Left wing, back to Jones. Jones, right-legged stutter step, now drives. Intertwines through the lane, up and under, right-handed layup goes. McCautry, or my mistake there, Quentin Jones' acrobatic offense gets St. Louis back out to a 13-point lead. Now Christian Henry bringing it up for the Rams. Works his way to the left wing. Now a pass to Day Reeves, alternate side. Back to Christian Henry. Now to Schulte. Schulte top of the key. Quick pass, left corner. Akira Jacobs three. No good. Off front rim. Second chance secured by the Rams. Jack Whitbourne on the offensive rebound. Pass inside. Pass inside to Schulte. It's blocked by McCautry. McCautry blocks it and he has it. Going the other way. Dion Brown back to McCautry. His straight on three. It's good. Amari McCautry doing it on both ends for the Billikens. Christian Henry. Straight on. Back to Day Reeves. Deep right wing. Going left around a Whitbourne screen. Back to Henry. Henry left wing three. No good. A little too much on that one. Avila brings it down. St. Louis with a 16-point lead. 17:34 to go in this second half. Avila left wing three. No good off the quick play in transition. And that ball's on the ground. It's fought for and gotten by St. Louis. St. Louis throws it in there and pass. It'll stay with them out of bounds. But what a fight on the second chance from St. Louis to get the ball back.
Yeah, Brady Dunlap going face first to the hardwood to secure a rebound that really should have been Fordham's. He started to get back and try to defend in transition, and then the ball trickled all the way out to him, and he laid out for it.
It'll be Brady Dunlap, the St. John's transfer, inbounding this one on the left side of the baseline. Gets to Quentin Jones, top of the arc. Jones around an Avila screen to the right. Guarded by Day Reeves. Now going left around an Avila screen. Finds Avila, top of the key. Pump fakes. Dribble handoff, Dion Brown. Brown through the middle of the lane. Left-handed layup, too strong off the backboard. It'll be corralled in by Akira Jacobs. Outlet pass to Day Reeves. Reeves plays it behind him to Christian Henry. Henry has it on the left corner. Henry plays it into Jack Whitbourne. Whitbourne pass back out. Akira Jacobs, his three, no good. Second chance brought down by Whitbourne. His layup is no good. Second chance, no good for Whitbourne. Driving inside, Dunlap finishes. Dunlap with Rika Schulte all over him in the lane. It didn't matter. St. Louis with another score offensively. They're up 18 now, 51-33, 16:35 to go in the second half.
Feels like a back-breaking stretch. You get an O board and you miss on the layup, and then a contested lay goes the other end.
Henry has it on the left wing, right to left crossover, gets past Brown. Floater in the middle of the lane, no good. Whitbourne tried to secure the offensive rebound. It's called off his leg. It'll be out of bounds. St. Louis ball on the baseline, and we're getting a check here from the Fordham coaches to see if they'll review it.
And looking on the replay monitor, it certainly looked as though that ball hit Jack Whitbourne, but I mean, he's as adamant as I've ever seen anyone arguing for a call, and Fordham's going to challenge.
Not sure if Fordham's going to challenge. I don't think they are. St. Louis getting a little upset with how long it's taking Fordham.
It has been a while
to commit procedure here.
Normally you only have a few seconds. Yeah, now they're double checking it.
And it's Rika Schulte and Akira Jacobs coming off the court. Ryan Hyland, assistant coach for the Rams, still looking at it on a computer behind the bench. It was too late, and they didn't check it. They didn't review it. And that'll be McCautry for the St. Louis offense. Give it to Dunlap, straight on three, no good. Whitbourne brings it down defensively. Fordham now moving on the other side. They have room to operate offensively. Day Reeves out of the left wing. Pass to Green, left corner. Bounce pass inside to Whitbourne, working out of the left block. Backing down Avila. Spinning baseline. Fadeaway jumper, no good. Brought down by McCautry. St. Louis once again has it. Driving in transition. Pound dribble. McCautry tried to get that one to go, no good. And the rebound brought down by Fordham. Day Reeves in the lane, loses the ball, gets it back out to Christian Henry. Henry tells the offense to calm down. 19 seconds on the shot clock, 15 and a half to go in the second half. Still a 51-33 lead for St. Louis. Henry driving on Dunlap, puts up a floater, no good. Or it is good, it'll count, plus the foul. Thought it'd be a reach in, instead it counts for the shooting foul. Christian Henry on the and one.
And you can listen to hear how the crowd feels about that call. I think that was an unbiased opinion. I think that was a shooting foul, and he made it. The contact was made as he swiveled his hands up in a shooting motion towards the cup, because at first it looked like he was going to kick out, so I think that's where the defender reached in, thinking he was going to get his hands in the passing lane. Then Henry changed his mind with his body perpendicular to the basket about 10 feet out in the paint, and he said, okay, I'm going to go up with it, and as he did so, he drew the contact on his arms, he followed through, he made the shot, it counts plus the foul. A much-needed bucket for a Fordham team that has really just struggled to out-hustle the St. Louis team, I'd say, in the first 5 minutes of the second half.
Yeah. And Fordham trying to stay in sight in the rearview mirror. This game, obviously, in St. Louis's hands per se, but it wouldn't necessarily be Fordham is completely out of this one.
No, it's not. It's just a run away. I mean, Fordham went down by 10 right away in this game and came right back, right? And we've seen them have those couple stretches first half where they looked like kind of the better team, or at least were making enough shots to have the advantage in those stretches. You're going to need to somehow find a way to sustain that for a long time. Now you compound that with the fact that we haven't mentioned yet today, Roracor and Abbas Bodija still dealing with right ankle sprains, still out, so you don't have a ton of depth compared to the St. Louis unit. Fordham has kind of ran out of steam in some games in A10 play. A lot of factors working against Fordham, but I think this is a chance after the whistle blows. You settle down after these first few minutes of the half. You're going to the free throw line, you know that you just had a possession where you scored. You can add on another point, try and build some momentum. I try and take it stretch by stretch here. You have a 4-minute stretch you're about to enter. Make that your best stretch and see if you can work from there.
St. Louis still shooting at a ridiculously efficient clip. They're 50% from the three-point line, 100% perfect from the free throw line, and 53% from the field. When you're that efficient, Joe, you're always going to be competitive in games, and when you're as deep as this St. Louis team, you're always going to be dominating games when you're that efficient.
I mean, you're getting it from so many different players as well. That's what's so crazy to look at. You look at, I mean, every guy who's checked in this game except for Paulo Tieno, who's only played a couple minutes, has scored. When Jones has 8, Amari McCautry has 5, Brady Dunlap off the bench has 8, Dion Brown 6, Robbie Avila has 8, Kellen Thames off the bench 13, Ishan Sharma 3. Every single player has scored. Almost every single player has made a 3. There's a team rebounding effort. They got 5 different guys with 2 or more boards. They've got 5 different guys with assists. They're just doing it in so many different ways.
St. Louis continuing to impress this season. St. Louis missing out by just 1 spot of the AP Top 25 this week. They received 92 votes from the AP. Seton Hall squeaking in that 25th spot ahead of St. Louis. But still, St. Louis receiving major national attention, and they've continued the good play here tonight. Christian Henry going to shoot free throws here for the Rams. 15-20 to go in this second half. This is going to be the first free throw behind the St. Louis student section, and 2 inflatable car or used car dummies are behind the rim. What do you call those, Joe?
I don't know, and I didn't know they had that in their bag.
McCautry driving inside and finishing strongly with the left hand. St. Louis continuing to pound it offensively. Yeah, inflatable, hands in the air, used car salesman men, I think would be the proper term. Marcus Green going right around to Schulte's screen. Rams still trail by a ton. Green out to Christian Henry, left wing. The pump fake of McCautry. Will now go right around to Schulte's screen. Stopping at the right elbow. Step back 3 taken, and a foul. Christian Henry gets McCautry in the air, and he makes McCautry pay for it. 3 free throws for Christian Henry. Christian Henry finding creative ways to be productive offensively.
That was creative. He's tried to draw a lot of fouls from the perimeter, and he hasn't got the benefit of the whistle a lot, but he does there. They call it a shooting foul, but they're going to say it's only for 2 shots.
Well, they
and
said
now Fordham wants to review and try and get 3.
Yeah, they said it was a 2, and Fordham's coaching staff definitely begged to differ. They're sending the officials to the review booth. They'll do that now. 2 officials huddling over the mid part of the scores table, and they'll check to see if that was a 2 or a 3.
It's hard to tell. I mean, it's one of those situations where you pump fake, you draw the defender, you lean into the contact, so you're leaning towards the basket. So by the time you release the shot, you think maybe his foot slipped and he touched the line. But as the ref is indicating now, he did not in this instance, and that's what I thought live. It didn't look like he moved his lead foot at all. And indeed, he was behind the line. It will be 3 free throws upon review. A successful challenge for Fordham.
Yeah, Fordham comes out on the better end of that review, and Christian Henry will go to the line for 3 free throws. Big free throws here for Fordham as they try to stay in this one. Fordham trailing by 17 right now, trying to make that 14.
This is where Fordham really, you just have to hit your shots at the line. 3 of 4 so far today. Great performance at the line against St. Bonaventure. No coincidence you won that game.
Christian Henry missing on the first free throw. As Rasheed Wallace would say, I'm sure a few people in the student section are saying it, ball don't lie. Christian Henry having to shoot these amongst the inflatable car salesman men. That one good as well.
Just to give everyone an image of this.
Yeah, it's hard to really put into words.
Two of them, arms outstretched. I'd say they're about 20 feet exactly in height. They've got smiley face, googly eyes. They're waving back and forth.
And Henry missing on the third free throw as well. The two car salesman inflatable men doing their job. As Jones now goes left around to Avila screen. Ball's loose. Eventually, Jones picks it back up to Deion Brown, left wing. Brown guarded by Marcus Green. Brown inside to Avila, kicks it out. Jones straight on three. No good, off back iron. A fight for the rebound. It's grabbed by Thames under the basket, who doesn't get his putback to go, but gets a foul. He'll go to the line for two.
It almost feels stunning to see Quentin Jones miss on a wide open three because it feels like every single wide open opportunity St. Louis has gotten since the 16-minute mark in the first half has been a swish. So for them to miss that, that's a good break, but then you don't secure the rebound. That's the thing that Fordham does so well, but St. Louis also a great rebounding team, and it's going to hurt him.
Kellen Thames missing on his first free throw. He's 75% on the year, 24 for 32 in his attempts so far this season. One of the only guys that plays major minutes for the St. Louis team who doesn't shoot the ball at a very high level. Most of his offensive work is done around the rim as Thames makes the second free throw as it rattles around the rim. And Fordham gets the ball back offensively, still down 17. Henry working out of the right wing. Guarded by Jones. Quentin Jones guarding him tightly. Goes left around to Schulte screen. Step back three. No good off from the left wing. Schulte fighting for the offensive rebound. He can't corral it. It'll be out of bounds, but that's called Fordham ball. It'll stay with the Rams.
And the referee just fell into the cheerleading stage.
Yeah.
And
the official
it leaves the student section very conflicted because they're very upset about the call he just made, but they also are worried about his health as he hits the stanchion. He seems to be fine, but as he gets up, then the student section says, okay, I can be a little comfortable, now I can boo you.
And immediately, the St. Louis players, especially Paul Otieno, telling the officials to review that immediately. Instead, it'll be no review, and Fordham will have it under the basket. Christian Henry inbounding it on the left of the baseline. Akira Jacobs gets it. His three, no good off the inbound. Akira Jacobs missing that one from the left wing, and St. Louis has it offensively again.
He's missed three solid looks from three so far this half, but I love that look for Akira Jacobs.
Avila, nice pass. Cross court to Thames. Kicked out, Quentin Jones. Back to Avila. Avila, top of the key. Spinning left, passing the left corner. Dribble handoff. Pump fake there, drive inside to Sharma. Sharma pass to Avila, no good from straight on. Quick moving offense, second chance brought down by St. Louis. Thames blocked. Thames on the second chance rejected by Lesmond. Fordham coming the other way. Kicked out, Akira Jacobs, pump faking. Pass to Marcus Green, his straight on three is good. Fast moving play ends with a three from Fordham, and Fordham back within 14, 54-40, 13 minutes to go in the second half. What fight here from the Rams down the stretch.
Best sequence of the day for Fordham, and now you're even in the second half, plus momentum. Block from Louis Lesmond, three from Marcus Green. Way to get both of those guys involved.
Sharma, pass on the right corner, gets it right back on the pass. Sharma guarded tightly by Marcus Green in the right corner. Gets it to Avila. Avila has it on the right wing. Backing down Lesmond, driving inside. No good on the shot, but it'll be a foul. Coach Ryan Highland and the rest of the crew want a held ball there and a jump ball instead, or a held ball, my mistake, but instead it'll be a foul.
Yeah, it felt like Lesmond, he did a great job defending Avila as he pirouetted towards the basket. It's a bigger guy for Louis Lesmond to be guarding, but I think that block really sparked something for Lesmond. The amount of energy he put into that possession, that one-on-one matchup, and then, as you said, he got a hand on the basketball, but they say that he just wasn't in legal guarding position as Avila misses the first. Still, that's a good foul to commit. Shooter misses a free throw.
Yeah, Steph Blurry missing his first at the line.
But he's got the goggles on. His vision's not impeded.
Yeah, well, we don't know that. It might be a little,
I guess, yeah, it might be a
foggy.
spoof.
There could be some fog we don't know about as he makes the second. Avila on that free throw gets St. Louis back out to a 15-point lead. 55-40, 12:40 to go in this first half, or the second half. Henry guarded tightly by Quentin Jones at midcourt. Going left around to Schulte screen. Driving through the left side of the lane. Gets a shot up inside at the rim and gets it to go. Christian Henry tenaciously gets inside and finishes. Quentin Jones bringing it up for St. Louis. St. Louis lead shrinking. It's 11 now, or it's 13 now. Avila, pass inside, kicks it out Jones. Jones straight on, left around an Avila screen. Avila gets it back, straight on three. No good. Akira Jacobs on the defensive rebound. Fordham now moving offensively.
Great to see Jacobs involved on the glass. 5th rebound, now his 5th straight game with 5+ rebounds. First time he's done that in his entire career.
Henry, top of the arc, guarded by Jones, going left around a Schulte screen. Once again, moving from left to right of the lane. Kick out. Another kick out, back to Christian Henry. Marcus Green was the one driving. Henry now has it, right corner, guarded by the much bigger Avila. Drives baseline. And it's going to be a whistle, a foul call. That one going to go on Avila, and a foul on the floor. Going to be Fordham ball coming out of the media timeout. A media timeout, a late media timeout. 11:40 to go in this second half. 55-42, St. Louis leads. We're going to send it back for another scoreboard update at the Rose Hill Studios with Ari Patel. Take it away, Ari.
The one-on-one scoreboard.
Hello, I'm Ari Patel, and this is your one-on-one scoreboard update. Starting off with the other A-10 games tonight, Davidson played at George Washington. The Wildcats beat the Revolutionaries 84-79, led by Robert Blum scoring 21 points off the bench. Heading over to Philadelphia in the Battle of the Saints, St. Bonaventure barely lost to St. Joseph's by just 4 points in a final score of 64-68, leaving St. Bonaventure at 0-4 in the A-10 and last place in the conference, with St. Joseph's moving up to 3-2 in the A-10 and 5th place in the conference. Rounding out the A-10 lineup for tonight, LaSalle lost big to Richmond by 21 points with a final score of 53-74. Richmond, meanwhile, moves up to 5th place in the A-10 with a 3-2 conference record. And finishing off with women's basketball, our Fordham Rams unfortunately lost at Davidson with a final score of 50-74, dropping them to 8-9 on the season and 0-6 in the A-10. With the one-on-one scoreboard update, I'm Ari Patel.
Thank you, Ari. Joe Henry back at Chaifetz Arena. Chris Carrino subbing out for just a moment. He'll be right back, but Fordham not making any substitutions as it's on its best run of the day. Now down just 13, a +1 through 8 minutes and 20 seconds in half number 2. It's 55-42 St. Louis, 11:40 left to go. And we welcome back our play-by-play man, Chris Carrino.
Joe, it's been a good stretch for Fordham, maybe not on the scoreboard. They're not making up as much ground as maybe they'd like to, but it's been a really hard-fought stretch for the Rams. From a character perspective, it's been really good.
It absolutely has. It's been hustle. It's been Louis Lesmond and Marcus Green finding a way to get involved, doing so defensively and turning that into offense. And Chris Henry starting to get into a rhythm, starting to be really aggressive. You can tell his emotions on the court. He really cares about making a statement in this game. And the result is Fordham is fighting as hard as we've seen them in this entire game. Now, you just made it the slimmest deficit it's been all half, just 13 points. The question, how do you sustain that momentum now? The 5 on the floor for Fordham to do it. Reeves, Green, Lesmond, Schulte, Jacobs. Schulte's a guy who's been quiet. Reeves has been a little quiet second half. Lesmond has yet to pull up a 3 this half. A lot of options offensively to keep this momentum rolling.
And Joe, like you just said about Christian Henry, he was out there with the 5 on the court right before the timeout ended with a towel over his neck, and he was directing, coaching the rest of his players out there on the floor. Love the leadership from Christian Henry. Marcus Green now has it out of the timeout for Fordham, and it's actually Day Reeves. Fadeaway jumper from the mid-range, no good. A fight for it on the glass, and ends up going out of bounds. It'll stay with Fordham on the baseline.
Great to see fight from Schulte to secure that offensive rebound. Just his 3rd rebound of the day for a guy only at 5 against St. Bonaventure. A couple low outputs for a guy who averages over 10.
Schulte has it out of the right block, backing down his defender, trying to get to that right block, kicks out to Lesmond. He'll take a left wing 3, heavily contested, no good, and it'll be St. Louis taking it back offensively. Brown driving through the right side of the lane. Nice dump-off pass. A finish plus the foul from Paul Otieno. What a play there from the Kenya native.
And you can see where Fordham sometimes with just the miscommunication things can fall apart, or the indecision. Not sure if you're Akira Jacobs and you're the 3rd defender in rotation, whether or not you should commit the intentional foul, send a guy to the line. He did so, but he did so late, so it was an easy make for Otieno, and then he gets the additional free throw. Luckily, Chris, he just missed.
Yeah, Otieno missing the free throw. It was Rikas Schulte on the defensive rebound. He was fouled in the backcourt after that rebound, and that'll stay with the Rams. It'll be a full court press once again from the Billikens. Fordham going to try and inbound it. Lesmond gets it on the inbound, gives it right back to Day Reeves. Reeves guarded full court by Dion Brown. Day gets it across half court. being bombarded by Dion Brown. Going right around to Schulte's screen through the right side of the lane. Stops at the right block, puts up a layup, no good. But Rikas Schulte's there on the second chance. Fordham scores, and they needed it. Now down 13, 10:43 to go.
Again, how about Rikas Schulte, 1 for 5 to that point and just 2 rebounds until a minute ago. Getting involved on the O-Glass, second straight possession with the board, this time a bucket off of it too.
It's McCautry working out of the left wing, now top of the arc. Pass to Brown, left wing, his 3, no good from Dion Brown. Rikas Schulte working hard on the defensive glass, and that ball out of bounds, Fordham ball. Good work there from Schulte. Will be Fordham inbounding it in the backcourt once again. Another full court press from St. Louis. Be Lesmond picking it up on the inbound just like he did before. Guarded heavily by McCautry. McCautry picking up Day Reeves, who will bring up the ball for the Rams. Gets it across half court, now in the left corner. Guarded by the much bigger Otieno. Driving, middle of the paint. Trying to kick it out, he does. Lesmond straight on 3, no good. Rebound Otieno. A second catch and fire miss for Lesmond.
Both heavy contests.
And Day Reeves quickly trying to impede on a pass at the top of the arc, and he poked it away out of bounds. Fordham thought they had the ball on the out of bounds, but it'll stay with St. Louis. Day Reeves thought he forced the turnover there.
The defense has been so fantastic. St. Louis has only connected on 1 field goal in the past 4 minutes or so. But now it feels like you really need this stop. You have to stay within 13. The lead cannot swell past this point.
Now it's Sharma working it around the perimeter. Now inside. A left spinning layup in the middle of the lane goes for Kellen Thames. The hometown kid continues the offense for St. Louis. Christian Henry now deep on the right wing, picking up direction from his head coach, Coach Mike Magpayo, right in front of us. Henry drifting over to the left wing now, directing Whitbourne and Jacobs. Henry now picked up by Sharma, top of the arc. Henry hesitating, driving inside, kicking it out to Green. Right corner 3, no good. Right at the end of the shot clock, it's going to be a foul on the floor on the layup on Fordham, and that one will be on Akira Jacobs, the Hawaii transfer. Akira Jacobs been so good of late, 5 or more rebounds in his last 4 games, first time in his career. But Akira Jacobs picks up the foul there, and St. Louis will take over.
Yeah, just a little push, scrapping for the rebound. Don't hate that level of physicality. Would have been St. Louis ball anyway. Fordham hasn't committed a lot of fouls this half. That's just their 4th. St. Louis has committed 5, so you're winning in that department.
Now it's Otieno playing it back to Sharma. Back to Otieno on the pick and roll. Kicks it out. Dion Brown, left corner 3. Rattles around and doesn't go. Otieno on the second chance for St. Louis. Offensive rebound. Kicked out to Sharma. Sharma on the 3. It's good. Ishan Sharma, the Ontario, Canada native, gets that 3 to go. And it'll be a foul on the 3 and 1. Not sure if that was on the ball or off the ball. Nonetheless, free throws taken after the 3, and St. Louis continuing to pile it on the Fordham Rams. It's now 62-44, 8:46 to go in this second half.
On the ball, off the ball is a little bit of both from Day Reeves. Sharma's a guy who's got the Curry Scout. That means you have to do all things possible to make sure he does not shoot a 3. He gets one off there because off of a screen. Reeves was late trailing in rotation, trying his best. He hit the screener, and then he hit the shooter after fighting through the screener in Otieno, and the worst possible thing just happened for Fordham.
Yeah, a worst possible scenario as you could have as a defense. A 4-point play completed there by Sharma. Sharma, a key shooting bench piece for this St. Louis team all season long. He's averaging just over 6.5 points per game. Jacobs, top of the arc. Pass to Day Reeves, right wing. Reeves faking left around a Whitbourne screen, then gives it to Whitbourne. His 3, no good, off the bank. Rikas Schulte diving on the ground and getting that offensive rebound. It was Kellen Thames getting a little testy with him, but it'll be Fordham ball. Actually, I believe it'll be St. Louis ball, a held ball called, possession arrow going towards St. Louis. Still Rikas Schulte showing an insane amount of effort there.
Yeah, this past 4 minutes from Schulte has been his best stretch of the game in terms of just his effort. He secured 2 rebounds, almost a third there, gets the held ball. Fordham will get it next time. The effort level from Schulte has been there.
Schulte only 2 points so far tonight, only 3 rebounds as well. McCautry, lob pass inside, tried to get the alley-oop to a backdoor Thames. Thames couldn't hold on to it. St. Louis gets it back. Second chance for the offense. Sharma off a screen, another 3, no good. swirling around the rim and not going in. Henry.
Would have blown the roof off, Chris.
Henry straight on three. He takes it. No good off back iron. Fordham really cold from three. Henry gets it back on the second chance. Behind the back pass, passed inside to Whitbourne. Whitbourne blocked at the rim. Now Sharma has it. St. Louis takes it over offensively. Fordham unlucky on the offensive end. Thames driving inside. Almost loses the ball. Instead kicks it back out. Sharma driving. Dribble handoff. Brown has it. Dion Brown left wing. Sharp pass inside. Floater goes. Paul Otieno faces a heavily contested floater. Still got it to go. St. Louis out to their biggest lead of the evening. It's now 65-44, 7:12 to go in the second half. Joe, St. Louis, just too much for Fordham down the stretch.
There have been stretches in this game, Chris, where Fordham has just been outmatched. Yes, offensively, the St. Louis offense, it's high flying, it's high octane. They had on one possession a missed alley-oop that would have brought the house down, and then a missed three that would have brought the house down. But this team feels inevitable. If they miss, they're going to get an offensive rebound. Every shot they take is going to be a good look. It's going to be an open three or a shot in the interior from a guy who's a really adept slasher. And on the Fordham side, you said they're cold from three, they're cold from two, too, to be frank. Because even when they've gotten positioning inside, the finishing just hasn't been there. And that's been a theme at times this season for Fordham, especially in their losses, is their bigs just not being able to finish at the rim. Fordham is a team shooting 11 of 33 from two, 33%. I mean, that's just not going to do it. But it's also not surprising. You can't look at this and say, man, this Fordham team, like, what are they going to do? They just can't make their layups. Well, St. Louis has a top 5 two-point defense in the entire country. So you say, oh, maybe we should shoot the ball more. They've tried that. Fordham shot 22 shots. They're 6 of 22, 27%. Then you look at the stat sheet and you see, oh my gosh, St. Louis is a top 10 three-point defense in the country. What can you do? They defend both at a top 10 rate in the nation.
It seems that efficiency on the offensive end is the difference in this one. You brought up that number, 31% from the field for Fordham. That's a really, really low number. You obviously
from two, to be specific, but well, they're at 31 from the field now.
Yeah, and you can't.
My God.
And you can't be too negative, but that's a number that you can't really argue with how poor it really is.
You can't argue with it. I mean, you can understand it, but I think there have been looks for Fordham. The threes, I don't know if you would expect them to shoot more than 27% on the looks they've gotten. There have been a lot of really contested shots taken by Louis Lesmond. But the twos, I mean, they've had some open ones that they missed, but overwhelmingly, the St. Louis help defense has been swarming. And Fordham, especially as a team in Fordham that has struggled to draw contact and seek out free throws and try and score that way, and that also just isn't a great free throw shooting team. When you're trying to deal with an overly physical interior defense like St. Louis, you kind of need to do that, and that's uncomfortable for Fordham to seek out that contact. Just hasn't worked.
Not a lot has worked for the Fordham Rams this evening. They trail 65-44, 7:12 left to go in this second half.
For Fordham, no points last 3 minutes, 33 seconds, and an 8-0 run for St. Louis in the last 2:37.
And Joe, maybe not a victory in sight in this last 7 minutes, but what should this Fordham team try to aspire to be in this last 7 minutes?
Well, you have to aspire to play your best 8 minutes of basketball all season. That's always the goal. Every game you got to be better than the last game. Every stretch of play needs to be better than the last. And against a St. Louis team, I think Fordham wants to do enough to prove that it belongs against a contender.
Day-Day Reeves doing some magic to get open in the lane and puts up a floater middle of the paint and gets it to go. Day-Day Reeves offensively keeping the Rams going.
Yeah, more specifically, Chris, I think creating good looks offensively is the thing that Fordham has struggled to do the most.
McCautry plays it on the left wing. Quentin Jones' three is good. Bouncing off the rim and slowly making its way into the net. Quentin Jones gets that unorthodox shot to go. Kira Jacobs plays it to Christian Henry. Henry going left around a Schulte screen. Fordham offense needs a bucket. 6:15 left to go in this second half. Henry working on a center. Step back three. No good from the left wing. Akira Jacobs on the offensive rebound. That one's no good. McCautry has it for St. Louis, bringing it the other way. Behind the back dribble, gets him open. No good on the three. In fact, it was an air ball. Out of bounds on the baseline. Fordham will have it.
Bit of a heat check for a guy who hadn't even taken a three in a while, but it's kind of like a team heat check. You're playing so well as a unit. You're holding Fordham to one of its last 8 from the field. You're hitting on nearly every shot you're taking offensively. Why not? Behind the back, early shot clock, chuck a right wing 3. An air ball bails out Fordham a little, but that's how things are feeling for St. Louis. They can feel it now. 6 minutes to go, up by 22. You can start to afford those kind of shots.
Yeah, and even in an interaction, I just saw Christian Henry coming over to the bench with Fordham. He's talking with Coach Magpaio. Neither seems really animated or upset. Doesn't seem like the group is necessarily in a bad way. The one guy who really seems upset is Rieke Schulte. Rieke Schulte coming over to the bench in that timeout, kicking the chair he was sitting in, knocking it completely over, and then having to be held back by his teammates as he was yelling. Not yelling at anyone particular, but just yelling in general. Rieke Schulte kind of showing what has been a general frustration for this Fordham unit all afternoon long.
Yeah, as a unit, but even personally for Schulte, a guy who's been so money and so consistent. He's been this team's Iron Man. He started and played in every single game this season. There's not a single other player that can say that. His output's also been the most consistent until these last 2 games. He had his lowest rebounding output of the year, only had 5 boards against St. Bonaventure, and today, look, he's fought so hard in this half, but still the results are 4 points on 2 of 7 shooting, 5 rebounds is an average number for him, 23 minutes played. He had a couple of tough foul calls against him. He just had that play offensively where he gets the offensive board, he does so much, and then he just can't finish that layup. That's been a theme at times this season for him. And he's a guy who really cares. And Mike Pio says this is the hardest worker on the team. Kingston Price second, Rieke Schulte number 1. He won that hustle crown preseason. He works as hard as anyone. He cares as much as anyone. He wants to win as much as anyone. And this is his first season in college ball where he's really a primary guy on the team. He's a starting player. It makes sense that he cares as much as he does. It makes sense that he's as frustrating as he is, not because of how he's playing personally necessarily, but as a team, this is a team-first guy. To be losing by 22 doesn't matter if you're playing the number 26 team in the country or number 365. He cares.
Absolutely, and in general, generally looking at all the UC Riverside transfers that made the trip over with Coach Magpaio, it seemed that the guys that Coach Magpaio brought over from his former school, all really high-character players.
High character, high effort, high levels of just team-first mentality for all 3 of these bigs, Whitborn, Schulte, and Bodija, who's out. To have those guys in your front court, they're all young. They're all going to be here next year, assuming none of them transferred. I don't think any of them will. That's a great foundation for Fordham to build around.
It'll be Fordham inbounding it in the backcourt. Marcus Green will inbound it, or will take it up for the Rams, eventually passing it to Christian Henry. Christian Henry deep on the right wing, guarded by Sharma. Fordham looking for bucket. Kira Jacobs pump faking out of the left wing, driving inside, no good on the layup inside, but a foul called. That one going to go on Brady Dunlap, the Big East St. John's transfer, and Akira Jacobs will go to the line for 2. Akira shooting 12 for 18 so far this season from the line.
I love that for Jacobs. You said 12 of 18. He doesn't go to the line a lot, but I love that out of the timeout. Draw up a play for him and tell him to be aggressive. So when Avila comes off the screen that Akira Jacobs set and is late catching up to him as Jacobs makes on the first, instead of pulling that contested 3, which Jacobs has missed 3 times this half, attack that closeout. And we see him only do it once a game, where he'll attack a closeout, they'll go to the rim, and he has tremendous body control, and he's a good finisher. These are the kind of looks that I want to see from Jacobs more often. Attack that closeout. Yes, you're a great shooter. Guys have to respect that. Make them pay for that.
Akira Jacobs making both at the line. And now St. Louis will have it offensively. Quentin Jones driving on Day-Day Reeves, backing into Day-Day Reeves, stopping at the left block, backing it out. Sharma will reset the offense. Sharma working deep on the left wing to Avila. Avila dribble handoff to a Quentin Jones running right. Back to Dunlap. Dunlap the other side. Wonderful passing from St. Louis. Ends up with Sharma. A wide open look from the left wing. No good. But oohs and ahs from the crowd just based off passing alone, which I'm not sure I've ever heard before.
Yeah, the offense just creates so many great looks for guys. Drawing the double team from the Otieno screen into an open Dunlap 3, passed up for an even better take.
That was just ridiculous. Henry driving to the right side of the lane on Otieno. Back out. Day-Day Reeves. Day-Day Reeves drives himself. Kick out. Christian Henry 3. No good. A game of back and forth there between the backcourt partners ends in no points. St. Louis the other way. Pass to Avila. Avila. Cross-court pass. Right corner. Quentin Jones. Pump fake. Drives baseline. Tried to dump pass under the basket. It was broken up. Fordham coming the other way. Day-Day Reeves in transition. finishes with a right hand. A jelly layup on Avila in transition. And Quentin Jones receives the cross-court, half-court alley-oop, and he slams it at the rim. From the right side of the rim, Quentin Jones elevates and slams with two hands.
The Fordham coaching staff saw it from a mile away. They were screaming, Louie, Louie, and he just wasn't back far enough to avoid the Quentin Jones run for an alley-oop.
4 minutes to go in this second half. 70-50 St. Louis lead. Pass in the left corner, extra pass to Day Reeves. Left wing, drives inside, kick out. Akira Jacobs three, no good from straight on. Rebound brought down by Quentin Jones. Another good defensive possession from the Billikens. It's Sharma now. Top of the arc, plays it to Otieno, back to Sharma. Sharma quickly drives left, gets inside, puts up the contested layup, no good, but he'll go to the line. Christian Henry picking up the foul on the contest.
One of those situations where if you're Chris Henry, there's nothing better that you can do than foul. And that's frustrating for a player. You don't want to give up any points. You don't want to get the other team to the line at all. In that kind of situation, you have to. And those are the compromising situations that St. Louis puts teams in, because they get you beat either because of sheer talent when they have a guy who will just blow by a defender, or because of these elaborate plays where they have off-ball screens and then they have a guy curling off that screen. He gets a step on his defender, so when he cuts inside, it draws in a big man, and then that dump-off pass becomes open. It creates all these rotations. It's going to create poor defensive positioning for your defenders, and it's going to create fouls. That's what we saw in that possession.
St. Louis Billikens continuing to pile it on the Fordham Rams. They now have a 20-point lead, 3:37 to go in this second half. We're going to send it for one more time back to the Rose Hill Studios for a one-on-one scoreboard update with Ari Patel. Take it away, Ari.
The one-on-one scoreboard.
Hello, I'm Ari Patel, and this is your one-on-one scoreboard update. Starting off in the NBA, the Jazz are in a neck-and-neck game in the third quarter with the Bulls in Chicago. The Bulls are currently up 87-92, with Nikola Vucevic leading the team in points with 18, while Kobe White leads the way in assists with a whopping 7 on the night. Over in Philadelphia, the 76ers lost big to the Cavaliers by 26 points and a final score of 133-107. Both teams had 22 wins coming into this game, but Cleveland now moves up to 23-19 on the season and 7th in the East. In New Orleans, the Pelicans are in a thriller against the Nets in the third quarter, with a score of 78-79 currently. Michael Porter is a player to watch with 18 points and 6 rebounds currently for Brooklyn. Rounding off with college basketball, unranked Ole Miss upset 21st ranked Georgia with a score of 97-95 in overtime in an incredible game. The Rebels were led by A.J. Storr with 27 points, 8 rebounds, and 3 steals on the night in a huge SEC-ranked upset game. And 13th-ranked Illinois is playing at unranked Northwestern with a score of 38-33 at the half in a 5-point game. Lastly, 10th-ranked Vanderbilt's currently in a thriller of a game against unranked Texas with a score of 30-31, with Texas up by 1 in the first. With the one-on-one scoreboard update, I'm Ari Patel.
St. Louis Billiken shooting 50% from the field, 39% from 3, and 75% from the free throw line. That 75% continues with the first free throw made by Sharma. Billikens shooting 1 of their 2 at the line. Sharma on the second. No good off front rim. Jacobs there on the defensive rebound. Fordham trailing 70-51, 3:32 to go in this second half. It's Day Reeves on the left wing, guarded by the much bigger Sharma. Top of the key to Jacobs. Jacobs plays it to Kingston Price. Kingston Price alternates wings back to Day Reeves. Reeves going right around the Jacobs screen. Thought about kicking it out, didn't. Left to right crossover, step through, puts up a floater, no good off the backboard, and Jacobs there fighting for the rebound, didn't get to it. It'll be St. Louis ball out of bounds.
It's been the story of this game. Reeves does so much work, makes a couple really nifty moves in that step through. What does it turn into? A heavily contested layup. That's how great this St. Louis defense is, that they can have one guy get beat and the next guy's just there. It's not just that he's rotating, he's late in help, or he can't contest. No, he's right there and he's able to contest without fouling. Fordham's only taken 9 free throws, and it's so frustrating, I imagine, for a Fordham guard to do all that work, make a couple pretty moves, and then it just turns into a contested 2. That's been the story of this game for Fordham.
Ricky Schulte subbing in for Louis Lesmond as Dunlap works it for the St. Louis offense. Cross-court pass. Gets it to Thames. Thames working on Akira Jacobs. Spin move, kick out. That three is good. Amari McCautry on the kick out pass gets that three to go. It's St. Louis out to their biggest lead of the evening. I feel like we keep saying that. 74-50, 2:30 to go in this second half. Now Kingston Price, top of the arc, plays it in the left corner. Day Reeves quickly gets it inside. Rikus Schulte out of the left block, backing down his defender, gets to the middle of the paint and gets it to go on a right-handed skyhook. Rikus Schulte, good work in the post, and Fordham gets a bucket.
Really, his only second time working out of the post all game and taking a shot, not off of an offensive rebound. Good to see one go down.
Thames out to Dunlap. Dunlap drives inside, and he takes the contact, fully absorbs it, and still finishes it with the right hand. Dunlap gave a full pause and look at his bench after that play. He knew what he did.
Goes to show, your seventh man in Brady Dunlap can go off in a game. He had 17 their last time out in that win against LaSalle. He's got 10 points today. St. Louis team has 4 guys in double figures easily. Robbie Avila has barely even had to play.
They average 6 players in double figures on the season. It'll be Dion Brown picking up the reach-in foul deep on the left wing as the Fordham offense keeps trying to score down the stretch here. Dion Brown and Dunlap not happy with that foul call.
Yeah, another situation with the hook from Reeves. He gave him the hook around that right waist, but Brown was in an illegal guarding position to begin with, so it's like kind of both guys are committing a foul, and when you're down by, 24 points, 2 minutes to go, you're going to give it to the team that's losing.
Day Reeves at the line now. Reeves good on the first. 76-53 lead for the Billikens. 1:53 to go in this second half. Second for Day Reeves at the line. Inflatable car salesman men floating in the distance. Both on either side directly behind the basketball stanchion. Day Reeves gets that one to go. Inflatable car salesman men have been ineffective in this second half, Joe.
You think so?
Fordham's done a good job of shooting free throws in this second half. McCautry driving left on Kingston Price. Lob pass sent inside, nobody home, and it'll be out of bounds on the baseline, staying with St. Louis. That one off Marcus Green. Will be inbounded under the basket. Dunlap on the right side of the baseline, inbounding it. He'll get it right back. Dunlap, cross-court pass, left corner, quick pass, drive inside, back out to Dunlap, straight on. Quick extra pass. It now ends up in the right corner with Dion Brown. Brown driving inside. Quick, another fiery pass, left corner. That three, no good. Cam Hudson on that shot. No good from the East Lansing native. Day Reeves behind the back dribble, kick out to Akira Jacobs. Jacobs gets it back to Day. That'll be a foul on number 11. That one, Brady Dunlap guarding Day Reeves out of the left wing. Pick up another foul. He's not happy with it. And it'll be Fordham at the line for a 1-and-1.
It says a lot about the St. Louis crowd that they're up 22.
I know.
And they're
up 22 and they're complaining about
frustrated.
fouls with a minute left. It's just ridiculous. Akira Jacobs making the first.
It speaks volumes to the culture that St. Louis is creating under Josh Schertz, that this city really, really cares about a team that hasn't always consistently been an A-10 contender or a contender in its other conferences. They're not just a contender, they're the favorite this year in the city, as I said at the top, rallying around this team.
And Akira Jacobs gets the second free throw to go. The standard has most definitely lifted around here in St. Louis. McCautry going right around the screen, pass in the right corner. Hudson driving on Marcus Green, kick back out, Dion Brown. Brown gets it to Carey, drives inside, up and under layup, blocked by Rikus Schulte. 51.7 on the game clock, 11 on the shot clock. Still 76-56 Billikens. On the inbound, Sharma to McCautry on the right wing, drives inside on Kingston Price, spinning right, puts up a floater of some sort and gets it to go. McCautry continuing his impressive offensive night. He's got the Billikens out to a 22-point lead, 37 seconds left.
We've seen a couple of great defensive possessions from Fordham squandered by a ridiculous circus shot gone in from St. Louis. That's the story of this game. You do so much, and it doesn't matter.
And a miss from Kingston Price on the offensive end for Fordham. St. Louis secures the defensive rebound, and they'll dribble it out. St. Louis with another win at home, another win in the conference, another win overall. The St. Louis Billikens move on to 16-1 on the year. They stay perfect in the Atlantic 10, 4-0 in the conference. And this St. Louis Billikens crowd on their feet, giving their team a standing ovation. What a evening for the Billikens.
It's nothing new. It's what they've done all season. If anything, Chris, this is a below-average performance for a team that averages over 90 points a game, top 10 in the country, and wins its average game by 25. They win by only 22 points at home, but it's a raucous occasion in the Chaifetz Arena. It's been that way all season, and it was a game that felt like an uphill battle really from the tip. And even in the moments where Fordham was right in it, those first 12 minutes or so, when Fordham was down by one, when Fordham was tied, when Fordham was making its threes and competing, even when Fordham was winning the battle to the floor, the first of the loose balls, it felt like every single thing needed to get right. I talked about it last week when we did that game about how Fordham is figuring out a jigsaw puzzle as a team as they go. First-year head coach, a lot of first-year players. They would have needed to put the entire puzzle together today to pull out a win. It just wasn't going to happen. They're still building to get there, and now it's about moving forward as a team.
And now joining us, assistant coach of the Fordham Rams, Kevin Smith. Coach, this one a disappointing outing for your Fordham Rams. It was a good stretch in that first half. You really felt competitive. It was the end of the first half where St. Louis started to create distance on you guys. What happened in that last 3 or 4 minutes of the half that sort of had that distance be created?
Well, St. Louis kind of got in their groove, especially in their game. They're one of the top 10 teams in the country in transition opportunities, and I think that kind of sparked them in the first half. I thought early on we did a terrific job of stifling their transition offense, but once they got comfortable a little bit and they started getting out a little more, it got a little difficult for us to contain that.
From a scouting perspective, when you're in charge of scouting a team that just has such a variety of options and scoring up and down the lineup, as you said, plays really fast, creates open looks, eliminates bad takes, they don't take mid-rangers, just twos and threes that more often than not are open off of them pushing off the break. How do you, from a scouting perspective, go about evaluating that, and what are you saying to your players to try and contain a team that so often this year has gone for even more than they went tonight?
Well, that's the beauty of what makes them so hard to scout is they can play a variety of styles, and especially defensively. They have their normal group where they're hedging ball screens with Avila, and then they got their switching everything group, and that can kind of keep you off balance. We got to do a little bit better job of making sure that we continue to attack those little spots, with certain plays, certain actions that we think will be good against those situations. But end of the day, we didn't do a good enough job putting the ball in the hole. I thought we did a pretty good job on the glass, 16 offensive rebounds. I think they're a team that fouls, so that's if we see them again, that'd be something that we need to take advantage of. But we've got to go back to the drawing board a little bit on just making sure that we execute what we're trying to look for. I did think in the second half we executed very well, even though we didn't get some shots to fall, only one turnover. So I'm just trying to pull positives as much as I can from a game like this, and that way we can come back with something to grow on for the next one.
Yeah, and one final question, Coach, just taking this in totality, what's the one final lesson you want this team to take going into the rest of conference play?
That you don't quit. It's going to be some games where, they're tough games. There's going to be some games where you're down 10, it's 8 minutes to go, you're up 10, 8 minutes to go. You still got to keep it going. Still got to play with the same intensity, same heart that you did in the first 20 minutes. And that's something that we kept preaching when the game was early on in the game and late in the game. You got to keep playing. And that's the type of program we're going to create here, a program that we don't fight. We don't quit fighting until the end of the game, last horn.
Thank you, Coach. As always, thank you for the time. Coach Kevin Smith, assistant coach Kevin Smith, former assistant at Charlotte, was the head scout on the game today. We thank him for joining us, as always. Had to have been a disappointing outing for him, a disappointing outing for the Rams, a team coming off arguably their biggest win of the season against St. Bonaventure, a team that had a sense of belonging coming into this one, a sense of belonging with the very best in the Atlantic 10, and St. Louis sort of humbling this Fordham team a little bit.
That's the A10 for you. You fight well and you lose 3 straight games, and then you come out and you have your biggest win of the season on the road against a really good team in a building that's really hard to play, and your reward is playing one of the best teams in the country on their floor. As you said, Chris, humbling, but as Kevin Smith said, and I really liked it, the message overall, don't quit fighting. He mentioned those individual games. Yes, if you're up 10 or down 10, 8 minutes to go, Fordham has learned its lesson on both sides of that coin this season, that you just can't quit. They didn't quit against St. Bonaventure. They pulled out the win. I don't know, you kind of hesitate to say that they quit, but in some of these games, like they lost to Holy Cross, in the first 3 conference games, there was those last 8 minutes where they just couldn't finish. They couldn't get to the finish line. 32 good minutes in those last 8. But if you were to extrapolate that onto an entire season, a game like this and a week like this teaches you don't quit. Biggest win of the year, back on the road 3 days later. Biggest loss of the year. How do you rebound? How do you compartmentalize and realize that you still have 2/3 of the conference schedule and the tournament to go? For a Fordham unit that's not going to play St. Louis again unless they meet each other in the tournament, it's about wiping the slate clean, taking what you did well, like the offensive rebounding, and figuring out how you can be more efficient offensively, how you can slow down a team like this going forward, and taking that into the next game. Because in the A10, anyone can beat anyone on any given day, and you've always got a game 2 days away. So you got to look forward to Saturday. You got to wipe the slate clean. You got to move forward.
Fordham looking to turn the page in the conference. They'll play Duquesne at home on Saturday. That one at 12:30 p.m. The welcome back students game. Students back on campus. Hopefully will be a great environment in Rose Hill Gym. Me and Joe Henry will be back for that one, so we'll hear from you on Saturday. For now, from St. Louis, Missouri, from the great Midwest of America at the Chaifetz Arena, the home of the St. Louis Billikens. St. Louis beats the Fordham Rams 78-56. They continue to stay atop the Atlantic 10. For us from St. Louis, I'm Chris Carrino, my partner Joe Henry. We're going to send it back to the Rose Hill Studios for the post-game report with Ari Patel and host Henry Wolf. Take it away, Henry.
The one-on-one post-game report.
Welcome back to the studio once again. I am Henry Wolf, joined again by Ari Patel. As you've heard, the Fordham Rams have just lost to the St. Louis Billikens 56-78. The Rams' record decreasing to 10-8 and 1-4 in the A10. I really appreciate Joe and Chris's conversation about staying positive through a loss like this. The Billikens covered the 19.5 spread, were really efficient defensively and offensively against the Rams tonight. And as much as they made a mockery, the Rams stayed in it for part of the game. Albeit they led the game for 19 seconds, the Billikens led for 35 minutes. But there were moments of greatness there. Ari, any thoughts?
Obviously, in a loss like this, it is hard. It's easy to be negative. But like you said, looking on the positive side, I think there actually is 2 major positives for Fordham. I think, like Joe said, the offensive rebounding was honestly impressive. They doubled St. Louis's offensive rebounds, 16-8. And even on the game, 37-36, one more rebound than St. Louis, even in the loss. And I think another important thing to look at is, like Joe said, St. Louis is a great team. They've been averaging around 90 points on the season each game. And Fordham's defense was able to hold them to 78, one of their lowest scoring games of the season, which I think is an impressive and good point to look at for Fordham.
Yeah, some standout players for Fordham. Day Reeves, obviously, continuing a streak of double-digit points. He's got 18 points on the night, 7 for 15 from the floor, and an assist. We didn't see much from Rikas Schulte tonight, 6 and 5, but Whitbourne, again, 14 rebounds. Players like these, I think, will start to click as long as they keep the mentality of do not quit. Just keep playing, keep getting those offensive rebounds. I honestly think 22 points for playing a team like St. Louis. Their record now is 16-1. When that team comes and puts up 28 points from the bench alone to your 6, we talked about it at halftime. They are going to be in contention come March. It's good for Fordham to play teams like this. A standout player for St. Louis, of course, Kellen Thames. He put 7 for 9, 16 points. He's a 3-point shooter all night. It's hard when they've got the three-point shooters and they've got the bigs down low putting up points. You can get whirlwinded on the court, becomes fast-paced, and you lose track of who you're guarding. You got to give some credit for Fordham for staying with it as long as they could. 22 points isn't as bad as some of the teams St. Louis has beat before.
Yeah, I completely agree. They kept it somewhat close, like you said, and I think that bench is just what plays such a big difference in this game. Fordham, only 6 points off the bench in comparison from Luis Lesmond and Marcus Green with 3 points each. But one thing I do want to look at is Day Reeves, like you said, 18 points leading the way. But like we talked about in halftime, Christian Henry did step up in the second half, coming up to 12 points on the game. Unfortunately, Rika Schultz did not step up as much, finishing off with only 6 points.
Yeah, and we'd like to see more assists out of our backcourt players for Fordham. Only 7 assists on the game compared to St. Louis's 19. That's a big difference, especially for a team that is trying to work around 2 guards, 2 forwards, and a big center. You need to see more passes, more shots, more drives in. You have to give some credit to St. Louis defense, of course, but I think we have to also hold the Fordham guards to a higher standard when it comes to, driving, filling the lane, passing out to a shooter. Christian Henry took a lot of shots tonight. Most of them didn't fall. He was good, but it's not his best.
Yeah, I completely agree, like you said. And I think what it does come down to is what we talked about at halftime, playing as a team. St. Louis, 19 assists, that's playing as a team, playing good offense. 7 assists, that's not really playing as a team and not playing cohesive offense.
Yeah, I really do hope moving forward, Magpie, we've seen it time and time again, the Fordham comes out strong and they start to dwindle by the second half, or Fordham come out really weak, as in most of the games, and then they figure it out. I'd like to see this Fordham team come out strong all the way through the game. Pick up game plan where we know we have our set scores. We know Jack Whitbourne's going to grab a rebound, so who's going to be ready to take a pass? Not a three-point shooting team. They were only 23% tonight for 3 points, 31% from the floor. Some shooting has to take place, some set plays. Something needs to change. I'd love to see, as a fan and a follower of Fordham basketball, something different, something where more points can be put up, because the defense there's a lot of effort on the defense. They're forcing turnovers, they're getting steals, Whitbourne's putting up some blocks. So if we can translate the defensive effort and momentum into the offensive side, you see fast breaks with Rika Schultz all the time in games. I think that'll make a difference for this team.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like you said on the defense, 8 turnovers to 6 turnovers for St. Louis. We played better defense, and I just really think, like you said, it needs to translate. The defense needs to translate to offense, transition points, the rebounds. We beat them in rebounds, but that needs to translate. Who's going to grab Whitbird's rebounds? Who's going to score those points?
Yeah, hopefully the Fordham Rams will come out hot on Saturday against Duquesne. Well, that'll be a wrap for our broadcast this evening. A big thank you to our sports director, Bobby Ciffardini, our play-by-play and color, Joe Henry and Chris Carrino, respectively, Ari Patel with the one-on-one scoreboard and updates, Kurt Sipple on production, Sam Giangrande crafting the YouTube graphics, and Austin Eschentino and Colin Banks on the highlights. As Chris said, the Fordham Rams return to the Hill to take on Duquesne on January 17th, just afternoon. Thank you so much for tuning in on 90.7 FM and on the YouTube stream. Until next time, this has been a production of WFUV Sports on 90.7. I'm Henry Wolf. Have a great rest of your evening.